Right, welcome guys, welcome. We're going to be looking at Dominion 6. It's been a long time since I've actually played Dominion 6, and I know it's one of these games that people who hear about it, but sort of think, oh, it's going to be too big and too difficult to get into, etc., etc. It is actually one of the it's one of the best strategy games of all time, particularly in the fantasy sort of genre, and certainly is not easy, depending on who you play as. In fact, even no matter who you play on, there is a difficulty curve to it, but it's a very, very rewarding game and plays so differently depending on whichever faction you actually go and play. So I thought I'd actually do a how to play Dominions and maybe sort of start a little bit of a mini series of playing the game itself. It's as I said before, very, very interesting and very, very cool game. So there is, of course, from the same developer from Illwinter Games. There's also another one. My mind has just gone completely blank. I can't even think of it. You've got Dominions, and you've got. My mind's gone completely blank. Sorry, guys. Actually, I'll have a look. I'll just have a look because it does. Because this one is more of the strategy game, and then if you look through fantasy, it should be in here. God, I don't know why I can't think of it. Conquest of Elysium. So Conquest of Elysium is sort of in the same, universe, but is more of a. This is more of a role play type game, in the sense that you actually end up with like a character that sort of it builds within a similar sort of world. And so you use the same sort of graphics. Some of the factions are very, very similar, but this is more of an adventure, more randomization in this particular game, Conquest of Elysium 5. So it's a pretty cool game actually. But if you're wanting more of a strategy type game, then Dominion 6 is that particular game. So this game here again, you don't have as many of the actual factions, but you do actually have like a very, very different start with your different societies, etc. Anyway, we're not going to be playing Conquest of Elysium, but I thought I'd show that one as well, just because it does. It does exist, and it also it gives you a different play style than Dominion. So I'll just go and quit out. It's quite different in many ways. Hi Stormworm, how are you going? So I'll just go back to Dom 6. Scroll up to here. Don't know why I don't know why my mind went blank there. I mean, I have just woken up, but anyway, Dominion 6. So we'll start in through here, and I'll just go through basically how to play the game if you're new to it. So Stormworm saying, very nice. I was just teaching a new player how to play this game. Hope he sees this also. It's one of these games where I can show you quick ways to do things. I can show you slow ways to do things, and so you can sort of learn a lot by just jumping in, getting your hands dirty essentially with the game, and then just sort of seeing what actually happens and then learning from it. So there's a lot of different ways to play this game, like so many different ways. Let's just start at the start. I'll show you the fastest way to get into a game, just in case you're you're thinking, okay, look, let's just do something. So create world. To be honest, the actual layout of the world, I tend to now just play back on standard again, but there are different sort of ways of having the world set up, and I just keep the medium. You can load in other maps as well. There's some beautiful maps that have been done by different people, including me. I do have a couple of maps, mainly for testing builds and stuff. There's sort of the main maps that I've actually done. I've got a couple of other ones, but I haven't really. I think the underground layouts were not fantastic at one point, and so I haven't actually re-looked at my maps for quite some time, and I should have another look at those to see if the underground has been sort of changed with the way that the game is sort of encoded, but I haven't looked at those. But if you just leave it on defaults, so the fastest way to get in, just leave it on defaults. You're going to have rivers. Rivers will sort of then make it more difficult to cross at different locations or different times of the year. For example, if it's frozen, you can cross. If it's not frozen, some of your units won't be able to. If you've got swimming units, they'll be able to cross, etc., etc. There's all sorts of different things. I just leave it on. And then an east-west wraparound, but not the north-south. So I'm just going to leave it on defaults just to get started. We won't play this game. I just wanted to show you a fast way to get in. So if you go into the game name, I'll just call it test. There's probably already a test one in there. There usually is. Yes, delete the game. So delete whatever was in there before. You've got three ages. The first age is more magical, but less metal. Middle age is sort of like a balance between magic and iron, and then the late ages is less magic but more iron, more metal type stuff. So you end up with sort of like more like it doesn't. They still all feel almost as magical as each other. So I'm just going to keep it on middle ages at this point in time. The now, when it first comes in, it's got normal AI. I'll leave it on normal AI, but if you right click on them, you can go backwards, like, and make them all easy. If you're wanting to do that one through there, you can. And I think that's the easiest. Yeah, so that's the easiest is just easy AI. You've got different AI types as well. I would just keep them on random, so without sort of worrying too much about them. But if it's your first game, play it on easy, because the game will feel easy at the start, and then you go, geez, what happened? You know, like, that got hard all of a sudden. So just be aware of that as well. So it can actually be a one of those things where there's a bit of a, well, there's things that will surprise you. So so with what does go on. Now, the nation itself, the way I would suggest that you start this one off, no matter which screen you're in, if you press the shift and then the question mark, so if you look at the question mark, you'll then get a list of keyboard shortcuts that apply to the screen that you're on. So they've done an incredible job of this. This is one of the reasons that DOM 6 is so much better even than any of the previous ones. It's just the amount of keyboard shortcuts that are specific to this screen. So this one screen that we have, we can add a new player with an N. We can change all players to humans. We can turn all players to AI, remove all players, restrict all random to land. This is one that I would suggest that you do, so that you end up with just playing against other land factions, and you play land as well. Or not, you could play water if you're wanting to. Remove all teams, create 2 teams of equal size, etc., etc. This is actually newish, actually. I haven't seen that before. Increase difficulty of all AI players, decrease. So you can actually just use the plus or minus keys to do things like that as well. And so in this case, what we want to do is restrict them all to land. And again, if it's your first game, restrict it. What we'll do when we play, we'll actually up it a little bit with the difficulty and play our actual game with that one. But if you just press escape, and now if I just go and press Shift L, like it was a capital L, that's important. It's now all random land nations, but there's easy land nations and there's difficult land nations. So I'm just going to go to our land nation. These are all the land nations from the Middle Age. So you've got a fair few to then go and choose from. I'll skip over many of them, just so that you've got like a bit of a choice if you are sort of newish to the game. The ones that are the easiest, I would say, well, the easiest one I think is Ulm. I always like this one as a starting faction because it's less reliant on magic, and it's more. It starts off with heavier infantry. I always imagine Ulm as being sort of like the humans, but they might as well be dwarves. This is a good way to sort of play as dwarves in the game. You've got the elves are more of the Nordic elves, so they're not sort of like they're not going to be. I mean, you sort of have sort of wood elves type stuff, but not really. Like they sort of so they're a bit different. They're more sort of like these have been very, very well researched all the way through, by the way. So these are various groups, but Ulm is always a good one to sort of choose. Some of the other ones that are easyish to play, just having a bit of a look through. There's actually, I mean, there's like you've got down the bottom through here. Just you can see there's even more of them. Down the bottom is where once you sort of get down into here, you're starting to then look at oceanics, so like water based. So I wouldn't play as them, if you've got everything else restricted. But Jotunheim is another good one. I really like playing this one. This is one of my favourites. The Jotunheim is sort of like, you can see it in the bottom there, home of the giants of the north. This one sort of makes sense as well to play as these, and there's ways to play those. I play so many runs with Jotunheim. I really, really like it because it is just so good to sort of show the game off in different ways where you're using giants. So again, these are very, very strong when they do come in. They're not difficult to play. I would choose one of those two, to be honest, if you're just learning the game. I also, when I was first starting to play the game, I actually played as Man, the Tower of Avalon. And so what this one is this is more sort of like King Arthur's Knights, and that's actually fairly good as well. So, that one's not too difficult. Marignon is like more of a French sort of medieval sort of group. So there's a fair few of them, but some of them are very, very difficult. For me, the easiest way to sort of test things is if they rely on blood magic. If you see the word blood anywhere, then you're probably going to want to avoid it. So there's blood magic is difficult in the game. So let's just go and choose Ulm in this instance, and so then we just go okay. So again, for your first, like, it's important to read these, and when we do ours, we'll have a read through these. But if we just choose Ulm, like if you sort of click on any one of these, you'll then sort of get a feel for what they actually have with everything. But we'll go through this in detail when we play our turn. This is a summary of what they do. It's important to know what their bonuses actually are in through here. When you go across, you then need to build what's called the, essentially your pretender god, is you need to figure out what's going to happen here. Now, this is one of the most important things in the game, but you can just press again, if I press the question mark, there is actually this R, create a random pretender, back in through here. And so I'm going to go and click on R and just see if I think I might like this one. This one is a physical form. Who have we got? We've got ourselves, and I'll talk about this in detail, but got one of these down the bottom through here. Was it the eldest dwarf? Is that the one that came through? Anyway, it sort of has chosen something that it thinks would sort of be okay-ish. I can keep on pressing R and get like different forces. This one is actually a human. We've got another elf, but with different sorts of bless effects. I can just keep on pressing these. There's a giant pig as our god. Doesn't really matter, like, you know, for your first game, just jump into it and just sort of go with what you've got there. I'm just going to click on OK. Name your god, whatever you like, or praise, blah, blah, blah. When you go into the world, there's a few little things I would suggest that you change in through here. Is the you've got random events are rare, which is fine. Story events are disabled. You can turn them on if you're playing single player. Score graphs are disabled, and I would enable those just so you can sort of see how you're going against the other factions. Everything else is actually okay there. Random start research, that's okay. I always like to turn on renaming. I will definitely do that with my faction so that we end up with being able to get what we need to get. Yep, we'll just go and click on OK, or Throne, sorry, by the time we go into here. There's different ways of playing the game as well. Like you've got Conquer Everyone Else or Victory by Thrones of Ascension. This is sort of like a way to essentially take certain areas on the map to try to then win the game. So that's on by default. Cataclysm is on, which sort of then ends up destroying the thrones to sort of then force a victory fairly quickly. Enable a cataclysm. I'll turn that one off. You may keep it either on or off at the start. If you're just learning the game, you probably won't get that far in. This is the ascension points. In this case, what it's done is it started off with requiring 6 ascension points, but you've got 6 thrones, so there'll be 6 locations to go and pick up. What you could do is even sort of go and throw in like one level 2 throne, which means you need 4 of these and this one here, for example. So you can get them where they're you can see the total number of ascension points is 8. So you can sort of like keep on adding more and more in to make it a little bit faster to finish off the game. Like if I sort of go and make it so that we end up with say like 4, if there's 14 points but you only need 6, so you can certainly change what you're doing through here, but just do what you think you might sort of want to be doing. I'll just leave it on that one through there. It will then sort of get into the game that way. So that's the fastest way to really get into the game. If you're going to start to play the game a lot, you're going to be that screen where we press the random pretender. That's probably the most important of the screens, to be honest, because that will then dictate how your faction plays. There'll be a lot of different things, and so it'll now build the map. But we won't play as this map. We'll start again. Now, while this is getting set up, I'll just read through the comments. So okay, Storm, I'm saying I do like your arena map for testing armies together. Yeah, that was exactly what that was designed for, was to literally to throw armies into a fight. Just going to press exit with this, and we'll do it properly when we sort of get started. So this is our faction down in here, and then we have like a fog of war. As we go up, it's arrow keys that you sort of then require. So that's the actual start of the actual map itself for us. But I'll talk about this when we get into it. So Storm was saying one thing I would add for new players is that expansion is easiest in the early ages. Peasants do not have their crossbows yet. I'll play Middle Ages just because it's the default, I think, when we go and do it. Hi, Heart of Mithril, how you going? And Louis Cypher 666 is saying, hello Daz, and Ken Dog is saying, do you ever play multiplayer games of Dominion 6? I have in the past. I haven't played it with 6 actually, with Dom 6. I played it with, there was a whole series we did actually, but I haven't gone and played. It's incredible to play a multiplayer game of this game, but it also takes a lot of time, and it's one of those things where you've actually got to. It can take you an hour a day playing your turn. Like it gets that involved, and there's a lot of tools now for multiplayer that have come into the actual game itself. So there's a lot of different ways to play the game. So yeah, really interesting to play a multiplayer game. It's multiplayer is a whole other level. I would strongly suggest, if you've got the time and the inclination, to give that a go. And one of the other great things about the community, the Dom 6 community, is that it actually does have, they regularly, like all the time basically, they start off different multiplayer games. There's a lot of multiplayer games on the go at any one time, but they do actually have multiplayer games for new players, and they even have multiplayer games that they have for new players where experienced players will come in and give advice. So it's very cool. The community, the Dominions community for decades now, I guess, has really just been incredibly supportive of people who play the game. So I haven't played for a long time just because of I don't have time, to be honest, to do a multiplayer game. It's sort of, the time commitment was way too long for me at this point in time, but it is very cool. Now there's a lot of God, Cat, what are you doing? And I'm just looking over at YouTube. All I see is Cat talking, and even Nightbot saying, "Hey, settle down." All right, I'll start at the top. I might have to skim a lot of your comments here. Sorry, Kat. There's just way too many for me to read. Stop spamming. All right, so on YouTube we've got so DJ Flippy saying Dominion is one of the best and underrated franchises ever. Yes, this is Dominions is seriously one of the best fantasy strategy games of all time. It's right. In fact, one of the best strategy games of all time. It's just so deep and so interesting. It's just incredible what this game will actually do. And I would consider myself an average player. I'm not a good player of the game, but I really I appreciate what the game does, and I enjoy what the game does. So it's a very cool game. Miguel is saying, hello Daz, I hope you're well. I have never tried Dominions, although after excellent how to plays I usually play the games. Well, this is one of these games. It's very rewarding to play Dominions, and I remember, like, when this is going way back to Dominion 2, I think, is where I started playing Dominions. I used to have it on my laptop, and I used to have to travel a fair bit for meetings and things like that, where I'd actually be like away for a day or something somewhere. And if I had like a few hours between meetings or something like that, I would actually go to a library somewhere and just sit in a corner with my laptop and play as Man. I was just trying to. That's why, like, Man has always been something that I've enjoyed. But I just would play it, trying to learn how to play the game. But it was fun. I still really enjoyed it. It was just a way to spend time, and I would restart, just trying to sort of get better. And I think that's a good way to learn the game, actually, is just to try things and then think, oh, I could have done that differently. Let's try that one again. One of the things with the game, by the way, is that there is no save scumming in the game. So this is a non-save scum game, unless you know how to do it. So you can do it, but it's by design. It's designed to not actually have save scumming. So when you make a decision, that's it. You've made the decision, and if your army's not up to it, they're going to get crushed. So it's but it's one of those games where I'll give a call out to Lucid Tactics, actually, who also, like, a YouTuber who plays a lot of Dominions, and he's got some very good content. He's a very good player. Like, in terms of sort of like skill levels, he's the most skillful player that I know that plays Dominions. And his take on that is, if you do lose an army, it's usually not as bad as you think, because all of a sudden you then start to get a lot more income because your army is no longer draining the income. So his take is he's more risky with his moves than I am, because he doesn't mind losing forces because he knows he can rebuild them within a degree. You know, like there's of course you can be completely crushed, but like you've got to be careful in the game itself. Okay, so Voidspark is saying, looking forward to this. I've been really wanting to get into this game. Yeah, it's a great game. Then we've got all of Kat's messages. So we've got upload videos of my custom nations. So Jenison saying, "Hey Daz, hope you're doing well. Here to refresh my knowledge after upgrading from Dom 5 to Dom 6. Yeah, it's a big improvement. Between 5 and 6, big improvement." Katson saying, "Okay, yep, I'll just skim past the ones that are sorry, Kat, it's just way too many." Yes, okay, Kat's saying Agartha is best. Yeah, that's a good one. And then Jotunheim, Ermor is good, yes. Ulm, and then Marignon. So there's Kat's favourites. Agartha is sort of like, and they're all completely different. I'll talk about that more in detail when we actually get into the game itself. Micklin's my favourite, says Frink. I hate Micklin. I find it so difficult. That's one of the blood nations, and so I'll talk a little bit about that when we actually go and make our god. We probably won't get much beyond making the god. I'll try to do that fairly fast. Katson saying if people pick Lemuria, you just quit. That's one of the death nations. Yep. So and Kat saying pick Lemuria. No one can defeat. Oh no! Look, I'm just gonna pick something that's going to be fairly basic. Just to sort of go through the principles of the game. Thrones are important because they give passive bonuses. Yes, that's true. Once you actually take a throne, you do get the passive bonuses from the thrones, but we'll talk about that when we get into it. I can't see any thrones that we can see in this particular start that we had. Okay, so hi Andrew, how you going? A very welcoming community. They really are. It's incredible, actually. Okay, so Kat's been experimenting with mods. Yep, that's cool. It's great, actually. It's very, very good to modding in the game. Like, there's a lot of really good stuff. Andrew's saying, I never grasped my head around communions, sadly. Yes, no, they're a tricky thing. They're almost logarithmic, the way that it sort of scales as well, with the way that communions is a way of actually of enhancing your spell ability through getting sort of like a communion master with communion slaves, and so you have different mages helping other mages. The magic in this game is very, very rich and deep. Tend to go with simple spells. I do myself as well. So Obama is saying, will there be giveaways for Dominion 6? No, there won't be, sorry. So does the AI attack your territory? Yes, it does. It's the AI. Look, the AI is the AI. Basically, it's sort of like you will have advantages. That's why I'm going to be playing on probably Mighty, I think, in the difficulty settings, just so that the AI has got more things to do, but got more abilities. So we'll have to be sort of on our toes a little bit. But yes, they do attack. It's sort of one of those things where they will. Not as well. Like a human player will surgically strike different areas and do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. Also, when you're playing multiplayer, you do need to gang up on people because if you don't, one person can start to steamroll, and if everyone else doesn't sort of use the diplomacy within the game to actually gang up on them, they will be crushed. Whereas the AI doesn't know how to do that. So in that sense, you tend not to have these the same sort of level of diplomacy. Diplomacy in Dominions, any of the Dominions games, is just incredible. Actually, when you play multiplayer. Hi, W Slayer, how you going? Saying hi all, I love this game. Glad you're playing it. Yeah, no, it's a great game. All right, let's rip into it. So the Amiga War is saying Agartha for life. I'll go through some of the other factions as well. There's getting crushed and acceptable losses towards your goal. Yes, but again, Lucid was somebody who actually will sacrifice armies if it if it furthers his goals. And so, yes, as I said before, Lucid Tactics is the best player of this game that I know of. So we'll give a shout out to him and his videos because they're extremely good. Right, let's get out of this game and if I just go back out to the quit without saving. Right, so we'll go into, if I go into continue an old game, I've probably got a few different things. I'll just get rid of some of these. Actually, there's different mods. There's actually an incredibly good Warhammer mod, but I think I'll just play the base game at this point in time. So I've got a fair few of these. I'll just go and delete these, and then we'll sort of start again. You can see that there's I've got a few that have been set up for. This is actually Jotunheim. Delete that game. Jotunheim, I think, is a really good one, just because it makes sort of good sense. I'll get rid of the Warhammer ones as well. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. It should fail because I don't have Warhammer installed, I don't think. Oh, I do have it installed. Hang on. That doesn't make sense. I'll just quit without saving. Actually, I do have them all installed, damn it. All right. That's I really should probably turn them off. So this is these are all the different Warhammer. There's a lot of mods you can actually have in through here. So I'm going to go and turn off the various these various mods. I'll just go and turn that one off. Better Nations Overview. I'll just go back and play vanilla. The Warhammer mod in this is unbelievably good. I'll use the Sprites Overhaul. AI Pretenders. That's Warhammer. Warhammer current version. Pop types. And I'll leave it like that. So I'm playing with, the ones I'm going to be playing with is a Better Nations Overview. What this one does is it gives you more information about the actual nations that you're playing. It sort of shows you more detail. I would strongly suggest that you grab that mod to then, like when you, no matter what level you're playing as, it just gives you better information. And then the new sprites, this one just changes some of the older graphics. So I'll just go back in with those and just we'll just escape out of that one. So we're down with that one. I'm just going to quit and then just replay it just so that it resets the game. Sometimes it doesn't like changing the mods around. Did that change? I don't think I've double clicked properly. All right, we'll go back in again. Right, so we're down with just those two mods installed. I've got to highly recommend that Warhammer mod too if you're into Warhammer factions. That's why in my head I was thinking there is actually a Wood Elf faction, but no, it's out of the Warhammer mod. It's awesomely good. What actually does happen through there. Cat's in sort of saying in map always remember to press Control F and activate Dominion and income box. Yes, I'll do those when I get into it. So what I'll do is I'm going to go into Create World. So I'll now still step through in a little bit of detail, but I'll try not to get sort of too bogged down. You do have different map layouts in through here. If you choose a circle world, it just means that you're going to end up with land around a large ocean in the middle and with ocean around you as well. I'll just play on the standard random map, and I'll play with just the standard random caves. As I said before, I won't change what we actually have in through here. Then I'll just call this one. I'll call it Twitch YouTube, because we're streaming to both. There we are, and we'll play Middle Ages again. Each age has got its own group of factions you can then go and play. So we'll just go into that one through there. It's sort of now got human, normal, and again, if I just press the plus, it will then make it say difficult. Actually, I'll play it on difficult. And there's mighty, then there's master, then there's impossible. Essentially, with the way it does work. So if I just go back out through and then down to easy. So again, this is just keyboard shortcuts. So the plus is just going to give me what I actually need down through this. Sometimes I've got these, I think everything else is actually working out okay. I might just flick back a few things actually. Just change the sound settings. Yep, that's all good, I think. Just move that one up a little bit. There we are. Right, so we've got the, so essentially I'll just go and make it, oops, yeah, I've got that one set. I'll make it so that we play, maybe just play on difficulty at this, difficult AI at this stage. Maybe mighty, we'll go mighty. So this then sort of changes what they do. I'll keep the AI type as random. These are, you've got different things. You've got standard, defensive, aggressive, or random. So we don't know exactly what we'll end up having. Back in through here. A disciple game is one where you play essentially as teams. And so if I press, for example, 2, I end up with a pretender god and 2 disciples, pretender god, 2 disciples. If I press 3, it's then going to split it off into 3 different teams. So you end up with essentially a somebody who's in charge and then a disciple player. They still play the way that they play, but their god that they have is the disciple of the pretender god. And these can be built differently if you do play that one. I'll just press 0 and we'll just go back to the to what we had as a setup. Again, the shift question mark is fantastic for getting the keyboard shortcuts that you sort of need to then make use of. We'll go Control L and just restrict everything to Shift L, and just restrict everyone to land nations. It does makes it make more sense. Otherwise, you've got to either somehow break into the ocean to be able to then control the ocean, or vice versa, break out of the ocean to then go and sort of get onto the land. So it's a difficult progression in between those. Hi Supreme Plague, how you going? Seeing another big game starting up. Yeah, plenty to keep track of. Yes, pretty much. But I'll try to make it as simple as possible. Random land nation. I'm going to I will always want to choose my own nation. These vary. There's 2 brothers that made this game essentially. One brother does the coding. It's sort of a bit like Dwarf Fortress, to be honest, in that sort of sense. One brother has sort of done like more the code style things, and the other brother has done a lot of the research, the sprites, and so they've got a real interest in mythology, and so they do a lot of in-depth research about each faction that they do bring in, and so there's certain factions that, as I said before, that are easier as they sort of do come back through. So if we have a bit of a look through, what they've done is they've sort of tried to place them in this list here as to where the mythology comes from in the world as well. So you can sort of see that, and of course, if we go down the bottom here, we got the water nations down the bottom through here as well. So you've sort of got like different sorts of nations that are sort of actually. Would you call that one a water nation? Maybe not. This is so Is is sort of more like Tuatha, which is sort of like almost like an Irish or Celtic style of sort of gameplay. But then we do actually have the pure underwater nations down the bottom through here. If you just go through, so Eresophale is the like this essentially is like Greek. So we've got Greek. Phlegra is sort of like these are, you see the scroll down the bottom through there. The Gigantes of Macone, which is essentially the Cyclops. So you can play as a Cyclops faction. This is Eresophale is more of a you can see there uses heavy infantry, chariots, and war elephants. They use astral magics. The mystics are skilled in astral and elemental magic. It gives Eresophale a great magical versatility. The priestesses of Eresophale can heal wounded soldiers. So this is a human kingdom, and so that's sort of they're fairly. That's a fairly interesting one. That's sort of like more standard sort of Greek factions in through there. Pangaea is sort of more like the like Pan. It's the woodlands, the satyrs, centaurs, minotaurs. This is a good one to play actually. We might even play as them. I think we might play as them because they also make sense if you're sort of familiar with using, if you can imagine sort of playing as a faction that does build up minotaurs and uses forest as it's for getting around. Asphodel is similar to Pangaea but is more of a death side. So you can see down through there that they've still got satyrs, but they've got harpies. They've still got centaurs and minotaurs, but there's also creatures made out of bones and vines. So there's sort of like it's more of a death aspect of Pangaea. Pangaea is more like a living forest. So this is like a clean forest. Asphodel is more sort of like a death. Urmor is your standard death faction. This is sort of like in the game, in the lore of the game, there's Urmor in the early age, which is like Rome, and then it goes into Urmor, the Ashen Empire, which is essentially Rome has become like a death cult, where you've actually essentially just got skeletal legions. You can live in the wastelands. There's just no and really as you build up, it's a fun one to play, Urmor, just because it is. If you can get and expand quickly, you can actually end up being extremely powerful because you suck all life out of the land. Celeria is through here as well. This is a splinter empire that emerged from Urmor. So it says down through here, now Celeria is a land where the dead and living walk side by side. So it's not as death oriented as Ermor actually is. Ermor is interesting because you have to raise all of your legions out of the from the dead. So you actually don't have any living creatures to go and recruit really. So Pythium down through here, this is another splinter empire that broke from Ermor when it fell. Pythium uses legionaries, but also serpent cataphracts. This is sort of almost like a so it's essentially it's a faction that is sort of aligned with lizard men type things, but it's a Roman faction aligned with lizard men, which is sort of interesting. Man is, as I said before, is more the style of play if you're playing like King Arthur, which I really do quite like. So Kendog is saying Ermor is like a fire. You have to expand and win before you burn out. Yes. So some players, any chance for a run without nature magic? Haven't seen you do one yet, I think. Yeah, so many of the ones I play do actually have nature magic. I could play as Ermor. Ermor's really, it's very unusual gameplay, that's all. It's just very different. Erio, last of the Tuatha. And so this is actually, Erio was founded by when humans defeated the Tuatha in ages past. And so this is the Tuatha or the Seed, I think that's how you pronounce it. So it re-emerged from their hiding places to lead the humans. The Seed and Tuatha are able to weave illusions and hide their true appearance. They are skilled air and nature mages. So again, that's going to be sort of more of a... more sort of Celtic again. Agartha is the golems. These live underground. So these are giants underground sort of almost like cavemen style, but giant cavemen. Ulm we've had a quick look at before. Just think dwarves, Marignon. This is essentially human holy knights, inquisitors, sort of more based on France. Pyrene, this one here is a feudal mountain kingdom, befouled by dark magic and blood sacrifices. The last of their giant allies have died and been replaced by black goats, dark beings reminiscent. I haven't played this one actually, so this is actually fairly new. Abyssia is like a lava-born humanoids. These are difficult, but they do use a lot of blood. Blood is difficult to play in the game, so I'll avoid those. Ashdod this is sort of more where we get into the Middle East, Middle Eastern type factions. And so then we've got Nabar as well, Queens of the Desert. This one's interesting. This is also like we've got the Jinn. So again, Middle Eastern with sort of jinns or genies, sort of prevalent in that particular one. Uruk is another one, Middle Eastern sort of style. Ind, so we now go back towards more sort of India type thing, but this is a surrounded by heathen lands inhabited by cannibals, dog-headed men, and other strange tribes. So this is almost like playing as Shangri-La. So it's sort of like Indian, Tibetan type sort of approach. Bandar Log is apes, so it feels more like Oriental apes more than African apes, if that makes any sort of sense. Tian Chi is sort of like the imperial bureaucracy, sort of takes you then across more to Chinese sort of style, a way of playing. Shiniyama is more sort of Japanese with the different ghosts of Japan. Kalem is this is a magocracy of a slender winged beings living in the coldest mountaintops. They're skilled archers. This one also feels a bit more like Greek sort of style mythology. Nazca is a necromancy of living winged humanoids ruled by mummified dead kings. So this is more like a Egyptian sort of style, but with flying units. Mictlan is more like Aztec sort of style. So you can see the diversity of what it's actually got. Zialba, the flooded caves. So these are cave-dwelling amphibians. These are sort of this is sort of a bit of a hybrid water land-based. Katis is actually this is lizard men. These are actually interesting as well. Again, though, like the request there not to play as nature, I actually don't think I can. Like when I'm thinking of the easiest ones to play, the only one that's really not nature-based is Ulm. But again, Katis is actually, these are like, they use poisons with what they actually have. So they've got like the disease and so on and so forth with that one. Machaca is what have we got through there? These are witch doctors, black sorcerers. So Machaka is more African, and Phaecia, the Isle of the Dark Ships. So Phaecia is an island queendom of half-giant sailors and tradesmen. Their fabled dark ships traverse the seas without oars. I think that's more Greek sort of style. And then we get into the like Vanheim is. These are essentially the enemies of the giants. So now it's looking at Nordic sort of style. So you got Vanheim is sort of like the elves in the game. So but these are sailing elves, like Viking elves. Vanarus is more of a these are shapeshifters, more from Russia, I guess, is sort of the way you think of them. Jotunheim is essentially just these are the frost giants of the north. Nidavinger is a difficult one actually to play. This one is you've got different totems, but again looking more like sort of Russia sort of style. And then east back and through here. So this is actually this is actually we're now starting to sort of get into the more of the water type kingdoms back and through this other side. So which one should we play? You know what I might do is I might just play random and then just sort of see what we get with what we end up with, and I'll just see if that's going to be useful or not. And so that way we'll sort of try to sort of play them whichever way they go. The Omega Walrus is saying Ermor gets dogpiled in multiplayer for good reason. Yes, it does, because if you let Ermor get a start, it's very, very hard to stop. Dragon was saying, looking at the huge amount of content in Dominions, it's pretty crazy that Illwinter consists of just 2 people. Yes, it's amazing what they've done over the years. Absolutely amazing. Lewis is saying, hi, I have Dominions 5. What are the main differences between 5 and 6? There's an awful lot, like a hell of a lot, actually. And when we get into it, I'll show you when look, let's just go and see who we end up with. I can always just sort of go back out. So this is Vanheim. This is essentially the elves. And so one of the big differences in the game is if we go to, for example, any of the mounted units, if I go and grab the van, for example, what you'll find is that in the previous game, this was just one list in through here. In Dominion 6, they've split all of the mounted units into their different components. So you've got the van, and then you've got the Fey horse. So you've actually got like a different set of requirements here for the horses as you do for the van. So the van itself is a rider, and then the Fey horse is what they're riding. And so they've got their own set of hit points, etc., etc. So that's one massive difference, and this is a very, very big difference, actually, just that alone. It means that when you go into battle, there's also different mechanics have come in around about this as well. So if a van loses their horse, if the horse is killed in battle, they will then fight on the ground as a foot soldier. Or vice versa, if the van gets killed, the Fey horse can fight on, but either way, they can then slowly make their way back to their home territory, and then it's then half the price to bring a new one back in if they make it back. So there's sort of those sort of mechanics. So there's a lot more of that sort of detail in the game, but also just the user experience and user interface in the game has been improved dramatically. I think it's a big difference between 5 and 6, to be honest, just in the way. But that there alone is just one way of actually sort of looking at it. I'm not adverse to playing as these guys. These are the elves. These are the elven faction. I'll just read a few more comments, then we'll think about whether we play this one or not. So Garbanism's Trash is saying, I'm trying the game for the first time. I'm between Relay and Carrion Woods. Which one should I try? Which one's that in? That's in Early Age, I think. Again, I would be playing one of the basic ones, one of the more simple sort of factions. Carrion Woods is not too difficult. Relay is water, I think, from memory. So I would probably avoid that one. But really, it's just, actually Cat's then sort of saying Relay is weak unless you get lucky with Astral Pearls and you need Communion Mages. Yeah, so Relay would be a difficult one, but Carrion Woods would be easy-ish, I would guess. Catson saying Communions is very hard to get into, which it actually is. Garbanism is saying, I didn't even hear about Communions. Carrion, it may be then. Any tips? Look, we could go and play as them. That's going to be another death sort of one. If you just go back out, look, I'll just go and quit this one. I think I can go back out. If I just go and if I go back and go cancel, and then cancel. No, I'm back here again. There is a way to cancel it somewhere. I can't do it from there. And then cancel. Yeah, we go back to this way here. So if I go back out, if I cancel that one and go to early ages, so the one that you're talking about here, so this is a whole lot of different, these are all different again. So I think that you're playing as, are they in the early one or are they in the later one? It's Carrion Woods. Or did I get that one wrong? Was it back in Middle Ages? Yeah, Asphodel. Asphodel is Carrion. Relay is down the bottom here. Yeah, okay, so we're looking at these. Underwater nations. I would avoid the underwater nations, to be honest, and just to stick with the other one. And to be honest, with Asphodel is a difficult one to play. I would play Pangaea before I would play Asphodel. I would get used to playing as Pangaea first, I think, would be the way to actually sort of go and do that one. But if you sort of pick any one of them, just keep on playing more and more of that one, and you sort of get most used to it, use of it there, back in through there. Okay, so Seeking Meta is saying, what other PC games would you say that Dom 6 is most similar to? Like, can I see Age of Wonders 4 but with less graphics but more depth under the hood? Is that accurate? Not really. It's pretty unique, I've got to say, Dominions. Like, it's actually a very, very unique game in what it does do. It feels like everything's sort of modded in and sort of plonked in is the way it sort of is structured, which is why there's so many mods for the game as well. Yeah, no, it's sort of, yeah, no, it's pretty unique, I think. I'm just trying to think. There may be sort of like older games that sort of feel a bit more like it, but it's a good question, but I actually can't think of one. Yeah, actually, yeah, Carrion is middle age. Yeah, I was thinking, I thought it was called Carrion Woods, but it is Asphodel. Is the death one that we sort of having through there. If you're unsure as well, you can always just go and click on them, and you can actually, from this screen, you can then go and if you go and again look at the question mark, it will then sort of allow you to, I think you can still do it from here. If I go OK, yeah, from this screen I can then read about them and see what they look like and what they do, and also have a read of them, and see what their skill levels actually are. You know what they can do. What all these different things have all got. If I go and click on hit points, it'll then tell me what they're made up of. So there's some very, very good information as you sort of go through the game. The game has got such a lot of information. If I just go and press, oh God, I'm here again. Just go and click on OK and then cancel. Just go back out to here again. But I'm going to avoid. I think I'm going to avoid that one there. I'll so let's just see if there's any other requests for anything. Yep. So Cat saying Asphodel, you have this stealth scout, harpy girl, and all sacred minotaurs and centaurs. Yeah, actually maybe Asphodel is not a terrible one to play. I mean, if you like, it is a death one. That's the thing. It wouldn't be terrible to play that one. Just have a quick look. Yeah, Dragon Wasp was saying, I think Jotunheim Frost Giants is a simple and good starter faction. Yeah, I think so. And Sai Bashi is then saying, I love this game. I'd heard of it 3 weeks ago. I first heard of it 3 weeks ago. Then 2 weeks ago. Tons of fun. It's an incredible game. Incredible game. So it's, again, there's people talking about all the different things it does. Milo Mindbend is saying Asphodel is easy mode. Hellblessed plus pretty strong chaff, and AI doesn't know how to cast a Firestorm in middle age. Yeah, most helpful videos I've seen was one guy on YouTube playing Piconi and demonstrating how cool low-level maps mages are for expanding. Yeah, there's different ways of playing every faction. Like this, it really is. There's so many different ways, and there's no right way or wrong way to play, and that's what makes the game just so great. So I'll just keep on going back through. Piconi is sort of like a midget faction. So yeah, Late Age is bonkers. I might play as Asphodel actually. Let's just go and play as the Carrion Woods. It'll give us a chance to sort of then have a bit of a look to see what's going on. I'll still play on Mighty difficulty with the AI, and I'm going to go Shift L and just make it so that it's all random land nations. So this way at least we get a start. So someone was saying my vote is Uruk. If you want to try something with larger than human sizes, I'll play this way. We'll go with Asphodel. These are understandable with the way that you then play. Some of the other factions, you've got to learn about the lore before you can actually really sort of play them easily. That's why the giants, the Jotunheim giants, are so easy to play, because we're all sort of got familiarity with the frost giants of like Thor versus the frost giants type stuff. Anyway, let's go and click on OK. So Asphodel, it's very important to understand what the story is behind what you're doing, because this will then shape the way that you play as the game, and you don't want to be fighting what they're good at. So Asphodel was once part of Pangaea, a woodland nation inhabited by wild beings connected with nature. So we are going to be playing with nature. So sorry about that, whoever that was that actually said don't play with nature. Halfmen such as satyrs, centaurs, and minotaurs serve the lords of the sacred groves deep in the forest. In ancient times, the woods covered much of the world, but that has changed. Man is no longer a beast, and animals are no longer wild. The world of the wild is disappearing. In response to the destruction of wild forests, a dark and hungry god has arisen. The Panii of the sacred groves could not prevent the destruction of the wilderness, and a few of them have revolted and struck back with dark fury upon the civilized world. The Panic apostates and their followers have been touched by the dark god, and their hides are coloured as black as the mood of the vengeful forest. But victory comes at a price. Half men as well as civilized men succumb to the curse of the carrion woods. Asphodel is slowly turning into a cursed forest realm, haunted by living carrion. And so essentially that sort of gives you a bit of a feel as to why, what their motivation is. And so they're sort of like, they've become like a death cult, a forestland death cult. Where sort of like rotting vegetable matter becomes part of what they're all about. So when we go down to the national features, these are important again. So race, forest beings and reanimated carrion beings, stealthy troops with will heal battle afflictions, and undead carrion beasts. So we're looking at constructs essentially and undead. So military, satyrs and minotaur infantry, centaur warriors and archers, harpies, hordes of mannequins and carrion beasts. Now, you'll see down at the bottom here, we've got a list of commanders across the top here. We don't have that many to look at, which is good actually. This is another thing when you're learning the game. Try not to have too many different units to choose from. Some of the factions can go off the screen. There's that many of them, and then similar to this is just our basic units. We'll do a quick analysis of these in just a minute. So then we've got so the magic is nature, death, some glamour, earth and water. The important thing here is no blood. Blood is difficult to play with. So like you can play with some factions that do include blood in what they do, but it doesn't, because you don't have to go down that path. But these are like schools of magic. And so, but nature and death is going to be the main ones that we're going to be using for Asphodel. Priests are average. Undead priests can reanimate carrions. Okay, so we can actually have undead priests. We'll probably see them as we sort of go back through these commanders. So priests will always be commanders. Dominion. Dominion is actually the word dominion. Look, what it is, you're trying to spread the word of your god into factions, into different areas, and so the dominion in the game is the spread of word of your god, and where you then become the prevalent religion of the different factions of the world. So it's a bit confusing when you first look at the map and think, oh, I control like 2 provinces. You don't. You control one, and one of them, like I'll often have, we'll use this as the usual way it starts, is that there'll be your home faction plus one other, where Dominion is actually crept into that particular one, but you don't actually control that province yet. So Dominion reanimates the unburied dead as mannequins, carrion beasts everywhere, but more in forests. So temples and a growth scale increase. Temples and a growth scale increase reanimation rates. That's important to know. So we need to get growth. I'll try to explain this fairly succinctly when we get to it. Going to be very hard to do this one quickly though. Magic scale increases the chance of better reanimations. Dominion kills population. So the Dominion itself kills the human population or the population that we actually have. There we go. So Seva's saying redeemed a custom reward. The profit, I'll give you. I'm going to keep the profit as I guess I could make the I can make the. Sorry, I'll make the No, it hasn't. So you can have the profit. Yeah, no problem at all. Sorry, Sev. Yeah, that's okay. I'll keep the god though, the pretender god as one that we just name sort of more generically. Anyway, sorry, back to what we're doing. So we're playing DasTactic, which means that each of the actual commanders will then be named. So this is important to know. So as the Dominion in an area rises, that will then kill off the population, the local population. If we get magic scales, it's going to increase the reanimations will be better. So we want to go with plus magic. We also want to have the temples and growth scale increase the reanimation rates. So when we're reanimating and building the vine creatures and stuff like this, we want magic and growth. You'll see down through here scales and blesses, growth limit of +2 and magic limit of +1. So again, thinking about the way it works, I'll explain this when we get to the next screen. But this is that's important that we understand that's what's where we actually are. Carrion beasts everywhere, but more in forest. So again, forest areas are going to be very, very important to us. So we'll be wanting to get as many forests as we possibly can. Scales and blesses, again, we've got growth limit +2, magic limit +1. This will make sense in the next screen. And buildings, very primitive forts, so 50% more expensive. Temples cost 300 in forest. Temples produce nature gems. That's actually important. Labs cost 300 in forests. So we end up with cheap temples and labs in forests, and temples then produce nature gems, but our actual forts are very, very weak. So we have to then rely more on our armies to sort of then go through everything else that we have to do. So we're getting a feel for how to play the game. Then we actually have the commanders. I'll come back to the commanders after we have a quick look at our actual units. Also, if you do have that mod that I got installed, it will then show me all the different things. We've got the Carrion Grove, and so this is actually what we then get from this is at our home. So the Carrion Grove is our home location, and so what it does is it increases growth by a maximum of 4, produces 6 nature gems per turn and 1 death gem per turn. So we're getting 6 to 1 nature to death. Enables the Black Centaur, so we can actually recruit the Black Centaurs and the Black Minotaurs from this location, from the Carrion Grove. So that's uniquely what we can have through there. We then actually have Asphodel Summons. So we then actually have like this is actually a magic site that may appear. Now, if you're playing as the base game, you won't get this information. This is the mod that I installed about giving you more information will then show you. This one should enable the recruitment of Carrion Lord, Carrion Lady, and a Carrion Centaur. So this will be sort of like an undead sort of it's with carrion. It's sort of like vines and bones and things to then create lords, ladies, and centaurs. We've got another one down through here, which is the Asphodel's free spawn, and so this will actually then recruit carrion, wolves, boars, horses, all sorts of different weird and wonderful things, behemoths. So this will all have different, and we're going to end up with an army full of all sorts of different undead creatures back and through here. So this one comes from that particular site. Then we've got this one through here. This is the Asphodel Heroes. And again, we may end up with an Etten Mandragora back and through here. So it's like a giant, a carrion giant. And then a Asphatic warrior back and through this other side as well, which I think is one of the commanders. So that's sort of what we're likely to end up with eventually. For our actual units, the thing I like to have a look at is to see who is sacred and who's not. And so without even looking at so much at what they do, I just go and click on each one of these. That one is sacred. So we have a Black Minotaur is a sacred being. Let's have a quick and just get our list of them first. That one is also sacred. The Black Centaurs, the Minotaur Warriors aren't sacred. In fact, I think there's a way to show who's sacred here. If I go to Shift ? Why is that not showing up this time? If I press S, no, it's not. No, okay, that's funny. It's normally will give me the keyboard shortcuts, but I'm not seeing it there. That one's not sacred. not sacred, not sacred. It's sort of like, I'm going to rush through a lot of this, but if you're new to the game, open everything up and have a look at everything. One thing I'm noticing is that there's a lot of stealth. We have a lot of stealth. These have got different sorts of. These are got recuperation, forest survival. These are just satyrs with the hooved feet, back in through that other side. So goat men, satyrs in through here again as well. Satyrs, these cause unrest, so we don't really want these. These are satyr sneaks, so we sort of send them into different locations, but they do actually have very high stealth of 60. And then we've finally got the harpies, and so the harpies are flying units. So these are flying, stealthy, only 40, forest survival, and also recuperation. We'll see a lot of recuperation through the different forces that we actually end up having. Probably even going back into these. These have also got recuperation. So the Minotaurs themselves are undisciplined. They're berserkers, forest survival, and they can trample because of their size. I'll talk about the scales that we sort of see through here as well. But I've only got two that are really sacred. So if we're going to be building up, we've got to make a choice in the next screen as to what we do with the sacred units. Let's have a look at the Minotaurs, the Black Minotaur. It's going to cost me 70 gold. So the way most of the forces actually work is that if you've got a unit that doesn't use armor, the resources will be low, but the gold may be high. So you will need to, and no matter which faction you play, you're going to have an interplay between resources and gold, and this will then dictate what you aim for around what you have. So just very, very quickly, we're looking at gold and resources back into here again. And so if I just quickly go through each of these, resources is up a little bit. As the more armor and equipment that they end up having, the more they're going to then have that sort of kick in. So gold goes down here, resources goes up. As we come back into these, resources 7, gold 50. This one here is 640. Back in through this other side. Actually, what's that one there? That's a Minotaur. This is a Minotaur warrior. So higher level with what it actually does do. These Centaur warriors back in through here is, you can see we don't have any mounted units, but with these are sort of mounted units, but they're just one. There's no mounts as such in this one. So resources then starts to come up a little bit, but we're sort of seeing that resources are not that high anywhere. So for us, resources are not important. What about these guys? Yeah, even these are still not really important with resources. So looking at the difference between gold and resources just means that I don't need to end up with trying to do essentially mining. I don't need to be bringing in resources. I need to be bringing in gold. Gold is going to be the key to how we play the game. So that's just telling me sort of like what I've got to then aim for. So no matter what I start with, like if I started off with Ulm, I'm going to find the opposite. I'm going to find heavy resources but low gold. A lot of the human factions will have low gold for doing things. Like Man will be heavy in resources as well, for example. So they all have like a difference. But in this case, they're not really using armor. They're using sort of more like natural armor. So just getting a feel for what we have through there. So we know that we're sneaky. We know we have recuperation. We know that we use gold more than resources, and that we know that we've got some powerful forces at the back. And we've only got two of the heavier units that can be blessable, that are sacred. And so the bless effects next turn will really only be applied to those two, plus we may end up with some of these will then ultimately be blessable as well in our commanders. So the commanders, having a quick look to see what they've got. Now what I want to look through here again is we've got high gold, no resources in through here. The Parnic Apostate, this is sort of like one of the most powerful mage units that we actually have. And so we'll sort of start to see that this one here has got all sorts of different abilities that it's got. So it starts off with 2 death magic, 3 nature. There's a random skill. It could be any one of those for 100%, and then a 10% chance of even getting another one through there as well. It does 17 research. It's animal awe, so it's revered by animals, so animals won't really want to attack this particular creature. Poison resistant, stealthy of 40, forest survival, recuperation, supply bonus of 30, which means we can sort of take big armies around, and also is a Beastmaster. So animals have decreased morale when commanded by a Beastmaster, so increased morale. So we can actually then get beasts to be around these guys. So these will be probably our most important commanders that we ultimately end up with, but they're very expensive. The next one across is a Dryad Hag, and this one here you can see this one is sacred, but the hit points are going to be low, only 11. So this is again a Death, Nature, and Glamour mage. Priest level 2, so this is sort of like a high level priest, and then we do have even more. Again, we can see water, and then we've got the earth magic, essentially death and glamour. Then is what it can then choose from. So this one is 370, so still fairly expensive. The next one across is a black dryad, so lower level magic, still a good priest, which is actually can be important. Only low hit points, 215, so half the cost of one of the Panic Apostates. Then we go into, so these would be more of our magic, and you can see down through here. These are our priest level. Then we've got the Centauroid Hierophantides. I don't know how you pronounce that one. These are also sacred. These have got priest level 1, which is actually good. Random magic skill, so they've got 100% either going to be death or nature. Low level research, 170 gold, only 3 resources. These have got the so I'm now starting to think these are going to be the main leaders of what we have. What I'm interested in is actually what their leadership value is, 50 back in through here, and allows them up to 2 squads. So this is going to be the main ones that sort of then will take around the forces that we end up having, and undead leadership of 10. This is going to be important for our carrion forces. This is not a great number to actually have in through this other side. Stealthy, again, forest survival, recuperation, and this one's inspirational. So an inspirational leader gives morale to his troops, making them less likely to break in combat. That's important. So these are more of the combat commanders. The next one we have is the Centaur Hierophant. This one here has got leadership 50, undead 10 again. Again, we're looking at gold, but no real resources. This one is also sacred. Same sort of deal as what the other one had. Same deal as well in through there. So we're getting these ones are just slightly less. Again, low level priest as well with what comes back in. Then we have the Minotaur Lord. So this one here has actually got much more high leadership, but only in mundane. It doesn't have any undead. This one can also only control up to 2 squads. Like before we start to take morale bonuses. Gold is lower for this one through here. Hit points are up. So these are quite strong at 29 with what it can actually then go and do. This one is using a bronze battle axe with leather hauberk is essentially the way it's armed. This one can trample, doesn't have any stealth, so it's a berserker, forest survival, and recuperation. So we can't hide these units. The other ones we can actually hide. Then we've got the Satyr Commanders. These are going to, again, I thought these would have better leadership. Our leadership isn't great, as you can sort of see all the way through. None of these are fantastic at leadership. 16 hit points here for the Satyr. This one does have stealth. And then finally we have the Black Harpy. And these will be our main scouts. So the Black Harpy is going to have a stealth there of 60, and can fly. So it can move around the map a lot, forest survival and recuperation, just uses talons in through this other side. I'll talk about this when we sort of get into the game. So the only low hit points, but this is going to be how we scout. So we've got a scout, we've got very, very basic commanders. Let's have a look and see what the Panic Apostate is really our commander. This one is so important that we get one of these. So the leadership, we can see up to 3 squads in through there. They get a morale bonus of +1 for up to 3 squads. This one does allow them to, so we can have 100 normal units. Undead or demons can be 150, and 30 magic beings in through there as well. So we've got like a lot we can then go and do across that leadership area. So getting one of these is going to be very, very important. That's going to sort of give us big abilities in what we can then go and do. I'll just double check these as well. 10, 30, 100. This one is only going to be for 1 squad. And it has a morale bonus of -1 if the Dryad Hags are sort of in control. So we don't really want them leading forces. Undead would be fine, but nothing else. These ones here, leadership is no morale bonus in through there, for just up for 2 squads essentially. But we can then bring in the undead of 100. So once we start to get the carrion, it's going to be these guys here that will then sort of be the ones that we end up using a lot. Spring Plague has redeemed a custom one. So so a panic apostate to spread the plague. Well, I don't know which one I'm gonna start building first, actually, with what we do. I'll have to figure that one out, but I'm thinking that these guys here are certainly cheaper, and I can get these at the start, but they're, the panic apostate is going to be, that's where we want to end up with a handful of these, but they're probably going to be a little bit expensive for us at the start. All right, so that's, now that we know what we're dealing with our actual faction, we can now start to sort of go in. It's going to make it, you can sort of get a feel for it just by looking at these as to what is going to happen. Let's just now go to the next screen. This is the most difficult screen in the game, is what to sort of start with. I'll sort of talk about how this one actually does work. You've got 300, in this case, we've got 360 design points. The physical form that we take will then take some of these points. So I think we start with 400. So this one's probably costing me 40, I would guess. It's the way it sort of does work. We do actually start off, whichever physical form we take starts us off in our magic. And I'll talk about the physical forms. Let's just go to each of these. You can see there that there's 4 different levels: Dominions 1, 2, 3, and 4. The way that you think of these is that you've got essentially your human sort of style, your mages, things like that will sort of be at the bottom of the screen here. So these are going to be low level, but they're easy to adapt into magic. So these are, think of like this is trying to be like a pretender god. Think of like a human mage who has become very, very powerful. It's still very, very weak. If I go and grab any of these, like the Great Enchantress, so we've got a Great Enchantress in through there. Getting new magic paths is only going to cost me 10 points. She comes in with Glamour, and that's the only one she comes in with, but we can very easily sort of get what's called a rainbow mage, where they can have all sorts of different magic paths, and these are very, very important to sort of understand what we need to go and do. And so in this case, she's actually was more expensive than the previous one. It's now, we've got 350 points left over, but the bottom level is essentially our mages and humanoids. So we've got a whole lot of them. Sometimes we're going to get, in fact, if I go and press this one here, if we go to tab, show or hide magic and scales, or escape. So tab is actually a really important one. If I go and press tab, we're going to see different abilities coming back through. So we can see the magic of each one of these. There's a blood magic one through there, for example, death, astral. There's a whole collection of them. If we go and grab this particular, this is the grey one. The grey one in this instance leaves us with 340, and we start off with glamour, death, and water. With what we end up doing, but it's still, the new paths only cost me sort of 10 back and through there. So that's, by pressing tab, I can then sort of see the various abilities that then come through. So the bottom one is essentially our mages, our humanoids. The next one up is great beasts, and so what we tend to end up having through here are going to be dragons. We've got like a carrion dragon, but back and through here, these are much more difficult to learn paths. These are sort of like, these have been around for a long time. Like, for example, if I grab this carrion dragon, which would be unique essentially to Asphodel, and so in this case we've got 290 points left over. This is the carrion dragon, and it starts off with death and nature magic. But you can see to break into a new path, it's going to cost me 80 points, not just 10. So there's a big cost. If I decide, look, I really need earth magic, it's going to then cost me 80 points just to get that first one. After that, it's pretty cheap, but the first one is very, very expensive. So to get one of these beasts, the beasts are a Dominion 2 back and through here. This also is sort of like your starting Dominion as well. Like when we start here, we start with, like if I go and choose this one through here, the Dominion will start off at 2. And I can still raise it by clicking on that, or right-clicking to reduce it, but I can't go lower than 2 with these. So that's the beasts. Dominion 3 up through here essentially are the like titans. So you end up like a titan sort of form, where they're almost like demigods. And these are like, if I go and choose, let's go and choose another carrion. This is a titan, a Mandragora, back and through here. And so in this case, this is one where the paths aren't quite as expensive. These are a bit more intelligent than the beasts as such. But in this case, we've got, like, this one comes in with 2 nature, 1 death, 60 points if we wanted to get like a new path. We've only got 200 points left in the design areas. And so this essentially is one where we start off with Dominion 3. And so these essentially are going to be the, well, as I said before, they're essentially just Titans. And so in every faction will have their own unique set of Titans, as well as there's some sort of like common ones. For example, this little pile of bones down through here. The Demi-Lick is just a pile of bones on the ground. 3 death magic. New paths are only 20 points. So you can sort of get like, every one of them has got like a different sort of ability. So it's important. This is actually where, as I said before, is one of the most difficult choices you have to make is which way you're going to go with everything. Now, we know that death and nature is going to be where we're going to be based on. I forget who it was that said, please don't play as a nature mage, but we're here, sorry. We're going to have to. Now, the Dominions 4 are your inanimates, and so these are like statues, or they can be. Look, this is like a fountain of blood, and so often these won't move around. The others will be able to be moved around on the battle map. If you're a new player, I would almost default up into here just to sort of go and choose one of these, and sort of just find one that's going to give you the mix of things that you want. So, for example, the Idol of Sorcery back and through here, 190 points for this one here. I can see it's got Astral Death and Glamour, and it's also, this next line down through here is showing me that it's going to push up a different sort of scale. And so if I go into this one through here, I'm actually getting a boost to, it should be boost to the magic. If I go and right-click on it, so magic scale limit of +1. So it allows me to get more magic into what we then go and do if we did choose this one. Now we've already got a +1 anyway, playing as Asphodel. But if we go into, if I just go up and just see, I can get up to 3. But if I can, and normally if I go to any of the others, I can only get to 2. I'll just go back again. I'll just go and choose one of the others that don't actually have that, and just see how far we can go. We can get to 3 anyway. So I don't really gain anything by choosing that particular one, even though it's got like an extra magic scale. And same here as well. This one's got magic and growth, but Asphodel already has magic and growth. So these scales don't really add anything to it. Like if I go back into here, growth will I'll be able to I can get to 4 there actually. Yeah, we've got +2 playing as Asphodel. Yeah, so we don't really gain anything. If it was something that Asphodel didn't do, like for example, this one here has got Turmoil, and so Turmoil is this is Order and Turmoil. As I go back down, I can go to 3 Turmoil here, which if I wanted to, not that I want to do that, but I can actually sort of push the actual boundaries of the Dominion. This is actually how, when we take over a province, this is sort of what actually ends up happening with it. But I won't do that. I'm just going to go and just as an example. This one here is actually interesting because it goes the other way. It allows us to have even more order. And you can see there the income goes up, which is sort of what we do want income, but we want growth. So we'll come back to those. So, but choosing these is quite important. This is where if you're a new player, I would pick something that you think is going to work. So again, press tab so you can see what they actually do. It gives you and I'm mainly looking at what these actually do bring in. In terms of if they've got if they can push one of the scales up, it's going to be something that it essentially will cost you in the points. Also hover over things because you'll see that the some of these things you can see there the Titan Mandragora is 250 points and it's reduced by 20 points for our nation. So we get 20 extra points by choosing something that sort of works for us. Back up through here, the Idol of Sorcery we don't get. I'm just seeing if any of these will give us a bit of a bonus. I don't think they will. But quite often if you don't want to be risking things, then maybe you keep one of the inanimates in Dominions 4. The Titans will certainly be powerful, and they can be very, very specific. The Dominions 2 creatures are very, very powerful, but they also can be killed, so just be careful of that. Just having a quick look. I'm not really overly concerned about what we go for. I'm looking at more the magic paths, to be honest, to sort of see what they can then go and do. Do we supplement? Do we take on our strengths, which is death and nature, or do we go to something that we haven't actually got, like air and water, for example? Like it's sort of one of those things where we have different abilities. So Sev is saying, did you look at the sacreds? What bless would work? Well, we have 2 very powerful creatures. We'll come to that in a minute. I'm just trying to sort of present it as a in a slowish way to not make it overwhelming with what we have. If I'm unsure, I can just press escape and just press R, and I can then get like a random. It'll then randomly go and choose things for me. So we've got this will then sort of deck out the whole thing. It will set everything else up throughout the whole lot. You can just keep on pressing R and see what we end up getting. And this can be another good way of just sort of getting a bit of a feel for what the AI is just doing randomly. This one here, we've just got like a human where they've got like lots and lots of magic. That's called a rainbow mage, back in through this other side. They've got, I'll just go back this way and then just keep on clicking. Yeah, this one's awake. So we've got a lot less back and through this other side. I will actually go and go back. I don't think I can reset this. Yeah, so R is just random. Oh, by the way, you can press S in through here to get the spells, and you can also template your pretender, just so you can keep on sort of bringing up the same one and just tweaking it as you go, which is actually a good thing again for what you're going to then be doing. You look at the nation description if you're trying to sort of figure out what to do. View forgeable magic items as well for the faction. There's a lot of stuff in here. View all bless effects is B. This one just tells us, like, if I press B, I can then get a list of all of the different bonuses we get from the magic. So, but I won't worry about that one so much. I think I'll just reset. So if I go back in and just go and choose, I'll make a choice actually. I'm thinking that it'd be fun to play as one of these. Now we do actually have, this one here is, if we go and choose one of these dragons, we've got a fire dragon, we've got a water dragon, earth dragon, air dragon. We do actually have a Dracolic as well. These are, and none of these are really giving us any extra points off. Just see if there's any others. We've got the carrion dragon back in through there is 160 points. This is 260 for these dragons. The worm soul, actually that one there, that's just nature. Then it's probably not going to be all that powerful. You just right click on it. You only 10 hit points, so that's not really all that powerful, but it does have a lot of different abilities back and through this other side as well. So this is like a carrion type creature. Vola of the Bountiful Forest. Again, these are sort of come in with, that comes in with water and nature. If we want to sort of stick away a little bit from the death, we could go that way. Just having a quick look at all of these, just see if any of these actually reduce by another 20 points. They probably won't, I don't think. Lord of the Wild, it's blood and nature. We don't have to use the blood, but they do actually have them in there. Titan of Growth, Titan of Spring. That one brings up death, but that's not what we want. Then back into here. I don't think we're going to see any more in through here that are going to give us the negative 20 points. Just as I go through these. Yeah, and then back down here, we're not going to get any negative. So we're just looking at the at these here and this one here. Those four give us, like, we get 20 extra points if we choose one of those. But I don't know if I want to, like this Titan Mandagora. It's very expensive. Let's just get rid of all of this stuff. I'll just reset these. And then we'll just go and I'll use this one as a choice, and we'll come back and I'll just get these reset to zeros all the way through. And that wasn't a bad little choice that they had made there. So let's actually now start with this one. We've got 200 points, so I don't think I've got any of these set up at all. 60 points if we wanted to break into a new path, and I'll talk about what the paths do as we come back through. Dominion down through here, this is actually what's going to happen. This is probably the most important of the decisions we have to then go and make. And every time we make a decision, it's going to then change the points that we have left. I can change what happens with this one. Now, with someone that's powerful like this, if we have a look and see, we've got 130 hit points, like heaps of hit points in through here. Comes in with Dominion Strength 3, the scale limits back in through there, magic in that ability, an amphibian, so it can actually go through rivers and water, causes fear, pierce resistant, cold resistant, poison resistant, undead, magic being, inanimate, does not eat, so it's made up. It's essentially a carrion. When you see little creatures like this as well, it will then spawn its own carrion in around it. I quite like the idea of this one here. Forest survival, recuperation, supply bonus of 20, so a spirit sight, growth power of 1. So that one there, this unit is more powerful in provinces with a positive growth scale. That's going to be good for us. And then we've got the power of death 3. This unit gets more powerful for each time it has been killed. The value of this ability is the maximum number of deaths that will result in even higher power. So if we do lose this one, we end up getting more and more powerful. Don't think it comes back though, does it? It's not immortal. Didn't see that. Pretty sure we'd have to then sort of bring it back in. Oops, hang on, the spirit sight. Yeah, it's not immortal. So if we did lose it, we'd have to then bring it back in. So this one looks pretty cool. It's got special attacks. It's got sleep vines as part of its attack with magic damage. It's got carrion vines with its attack as well, and fists. So I'll talk about this when we get into the actual game. But I quite like the idea of this one here, and we've just got sort of like low-level death and nature. Now, I'm going to not choose anything other than death and nature for what we end up doing. Now, as we increase the number of death and nature magic, if I press B, I can then get the list of blesses. So as I sort of have a look through these, we can then sort of see that there's like we're seeing some death with some astral, for example. We're getting death, all the death in through here will then give us different things that we can then go and do. So if we end up with whatever that is there, there's 9 death there, and we need to have turmoil scale of 1. So I'm not going to worry about that one there. We do have death weapons. Incarnate means that your god has to be on the map to be able to for this to kick in for blessed units. So death weapons, attacks from blessed units will be imbued with an additional death damage effects. So 2 damage that can be they can also disease the target. Both effects of the death attack can be individually negated by magic resistance. This will affect all weapons except naturally ranged attacks such as mind blasts and breath weapons. All right, so then we've got reanimators. Any living enemy killed by a blessed unit has a chance to rise as a soulless being and fight for the killer until the end of battle. This one here only requires 7 death there, so that's not too bad. So I'm looking at these sort of Stygian flesh, and through here, blessed units will become resistant to non-magical damage. So that's actually not too bad as well. Like I'm just thinking again in terms of the blessable units we actually have, those minotaurs and centaurs, that would be good. Withering weapons, mending bones. That's if we go into a death. We need to have like a death scale, which we're not going to be doing. Undead commands. We're sort of a bit unique where we're a death faction, but we need growth. So I'm thinking we could aim for death weapons. If we go back down into here, regeneration, down through here is only 7 nature, and so this has got regeneration. Blessed units will recover from damage at an extremely high rate. So units have a regeneration. This is good for us because we've got such powerful units. This means that 10% of their hit points every battle turn will come back. So this I think is almost essential for us. So I think we'll aim for regeneration. So that's going to be 7, and then we've got bark skin is 6, I think. Yep. So bark skin is going to give me. This will actually make skin very, very difficult to damage. So +7, maximum of 10 natural protection. So bark skin has no effect on spirit form creatures, but this one probably also is not that great for us because we're going to have natural protection anyway. Berserker. All sacred units will be able to go berserk when they get wounded in battle. So berserker +2. Yeah, maybe. Recuperation, we've already got that one. So all sacred units will heal battle afflictions over time. Outside of battle, recuperation does not work on undead. Yep, so that's okay. Poison weapons, we can certainly grab that one. We'll have their weapons coated in poison. It will affect even more when they get stuck. So, but I'm thinking we go for regeneration, which is seven. Let's not do this on too much. But regeneration is going to help us enormously. If I go back into the N and press the nature, we're looking at decking out these two. So if I look at the Black Centaur, 30 hit points. So we're going to get 3 hit points back per turn with this guy. So every turn he's going to recuperate 3 hit points. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but it will help. It will help a fair amount with what we end up having. Now the protection that it's got. Protection is sort of like natural. This is like natural protection and armor. So we've got like basic natural protection of 5. So the armor value of 7 back in through there. Yeah, so it's sort of maybe we don't really have a lot. We do have defense skill, which is like dodge. We do actually have then the where is it? Yeah, so protection is essentially your armor, but a lot of it's just going to be natural for us. We've already got 5 there. Let's have a look at the Centaur. This one's got 23 hit points, so they're not fantastic with what they have. But I think with regeneration, it's going to then be helpful. This one's also got 9 protection. So it's got 3 natural, and then armor. If we did improve the natural protection, we could go that way as well. So let's just go and click on OK. So what that means is if I go and start to increase the nature up to 6, and then go to bless effects, you can see that I can actually now get bark skin at 6. And so, so I can actually do that one through there. So we end up with a +7 to our natural protection, which will then make them be able to protect themselves better. But if I just go one more and get to 7 there, I'm down to 80 points now. If I then go into the bless effects, I can then get regeneration, which I'm thinking is still going to be the better one for us. So if I choose regeneration back in through there, we actually have now lost one of our bless points. So I need to spend one more. The cheapest one is just going to be to grab another death. So if I now have 0 bless points available, and if that's the only bless that we have, I'm actually not unhappy with that. So we'll just go with regeneration in this instance. So just looking at what we could have chosen to do, that's actually sort of works. For me to go and get like the bark skin as well, I would then need to build up to get 4, 5, 6, and then I could go and add in another bless effect, and I can now go and get bark skin. So I could actually bring that one in as well by taking, well, either one of these up to 8. Do that one through there, for example. But I don't want to do that. That's just too much. So I'm going to ditch bark skin. I've got 0 points there. I'm just going to go and move that one all the way down to a 1. And I just need to go back there. I need to have that on 0, essentially. So 7-2 we'll actually then do when we get regeneration. Then we've still got 72 points. Actually, that seems to be wrong. Yeah, no, that's okay. I have to do that to get to 72. You can see there that it's every time I go and add one more to it, it's going to take 8 from that one. Then it's going to the next time I click it, it's going to be a bit more, then a bit more. So it gets more expensive as you sort of go up through the list. But I just need to get to that bless point through there. With our Dominion, this is actually now also where we can get more points back, but also we're going to be wanting to spend points. Dominion 3, I'm actually happy enough with that. I don't think I'll play with that one. New players, you may want to go to 4 just to sort of make it a bit safer for you. When we have a look at each of these, so productivity and sloth. Land of productivity is characterised by industrious people working every day, trying to do their best in everything they do. Plenty of goods are made and sold in numerous bustling markets, dotting the landscape. Land of sloth is a lazy and boring place where apathy reigns supreme. Donkeys stand about idly, blocking the streets. But if I go and click on that one, you can see there that the income goes up by +3, but resources go up dramatically. We don't need resources. So this is all about resources, this particular one. The first one, by the way, is order and turmoil. What this one does is this one also increases the income. The unrest reduction goes up as well. The reconnaissance points goes up by 10%, resources go up by 3%, and events are reduced. So the more ordered a location actually is, the more sort of income, etc., we end up sort of getting. So that's that one. Heat, we'll then sort of start to choose. This one is often when you either go hot or cold, you end up essentially taking less income and less supplies. So we don't really want to be doing that one so much. Just keep that one sort of fairly middle of the road. But as I go and click on these, I get more points back. So I can start to sort of spend more. Growth is the one that's important to us. If I right click, actually I can't even go negative with this because we've got +2, which means that we can take this one up to growth 4, which is very important for us. So as we go through, it's going to be chomping away at our points here. So we're now at -8. That's 2. You can see the income goes up a little bit, supplies go up, but growth for us is incredibly important. And so when we get to growth 4, you can see the thing that got added there is slowly turns plains into forest. This is important for us. So going to, and as Asphodel, we can get to growth 4, but we're now at -88. Not that it's going to worry me that much. So I need to get some other points back somehow. So growth 4 is important. Then we have luck, or fortune or misfortune. And again, if I just go back and just bring that one back down to 0 so we can see the difference here. Events go up, but luck goes up. If I go back the other way, events go up, but luck goes down, which means we could end up with more unlucky events. Be careful about going too unlucky. In fact, we don't have a choice here. But I'm probably going to go into misfortune there. And then the final one is we get research as we bring the magic up. Now we saw there, if we go back to our nation, it was saying that we have a magic limit of +1, the growth limit of +2. And where was it? Magic scales increase the chance of better reanimations. So the more magic I have in those magic scales, the better the reanimations we are going to get, and that's going to be fairly important. So going positive with, I can get up to 3 there if I wanted to. Again, it's going to cost me a fair bit, but I can get to 3. So that's going to be important to me. Growth is going to be very important. Again, if I just press N, we can see there that temples and growth scales increases reanimation rates, but we also want to be changing everything to forest because forest is everything is a bit cheaper for us in forest. So that's the idea, is to spread the forest. So the no-brainers for us is we have to get to 4 here. I do want to get to a positive amount in through that other side. We have a slow amount of income coming in. I don't need productivity because I don't need resources. So I'm going to reduce I'm going to go to a land of sloth just to get more points back. I'm going to look and see if I can I might just take one of the unlucky ones. So we'll just go back that way. We're down to -8. I would like to get a bit more order just to sort of try to get our income up a little bit. So the income's going to be a tricky one for us. We don't have a real clean way of sort of managing that one. So with our scales, we're sort of now getting -48. If we then go across, at the moment we're awake, which means we start on the map. If I go to dormant, it means we sort of stay asleep for about a year, and then we become good again. So I've now got 102 points left to spend again. So I can now start to go and do other things again. So I can either take more magic, or I can take more of these as well. So I can get the magic up to even 3. I can still actually go and do that. I might do that one to try to get play the strengths. If I bring that one back up, that's actually, you can see that it changes fairly wildly. If I bring that one up, it changes it too much. Dominion, I can get that one up to 5 Dominion. So that's going to increase the power of the spread of our religion, to then push these numbers more into what this actually is, which is actually not bad. I'm actually happy with that. We've only got 1 point left. So for me, that one works fairly well. And if I just press the shift question mark, I can create a templated pretender. So I'm just going to go and press X and just press T. Hang on, where are we? T, is that doing it? No, it's not doing it. Hang on, just let me have another quick look. Save, Control S. I'll just save this pretender design. This is a good idea to do this one. So I'll just go Control S. You also can save pretenders and AI template mod data back in through there. So I'll just go in and Control S this one. And Chirocles, we'll call it that one. That's going to be okay. We'll just leave it as the name of the god. If you're playing multiplayer, it's a good idea to use your whatever handle you're using in the game, just so that it's just so people sort of know who you are, particularly if people that you know. I'm just going to grab myself a drink of water. Be right back. All right, so now if I screw this up, I can then go back and load in that particular god. Like if I go Control L, I then actually have, oh, there we go. I've actually got one that I had created from here from some time ago. So we've got Chirocles in through there. Let's have a look. This is actually a carrion one that I don't know when I created this one, to be honest. But if I bring it back in, we've then got sort of like bark skin, low light vision, undead command back in through this other side. This was the a carrion sort of creature back in through this other side, dormant again. I did the same sort of growth type things in through this other side as well. Very similar to what we ended up having with 2 points. Just go Control L. But we'll choose Chirocles because we've sort of set this one up. All right, let's get into it. So we've got the Strong Dominion. Yes. Yep. So let's go and click on OK. If you're a newish player, having Strong Dominion does make it a bit easier for you because it allows you to spread a little bit easier with your Dominion. So we'll just go and click on OK. Chirocles will be the name. That's going to be fine. And all praise Chirocles. So setting up the world again, I'm just going to go to random events are rare, story events. I'll go enabled. This will just make it a little bit more like story driven. Score graphs I'll go enabled as well. You don't need that one, but I will. Diplomacy is binding if we do get into diplomacy. Just going back through these different things. Random research at the start. Renaming is very important for this one. So that's critical. In thrones, I think I will actually make it so that it's a little bit. I will put a level 1, actually I'll put a level 3 throne in, 2 level 2s and 6 level 6s, and for victory, what have we got? 3, 4, 5, 6, I'll make it say 7 or even 8. I'll just make it so we have to get 8 points to win. Actually, maybe 7, just so it doesn't go on for too long. And I'm going to disable the Cataclysm, and that will do us. So we have 13 points. We need to get 7 of them. So we need to sort of get more than half the points. So these are, the thrones become more powerful. So province with level 3 throne is guarded by a huge independent force, whereas a level 1 throne is going to be much more approachable. A province with a level 1 throne is guarded by a slightly larger than usual independent force and will yield 1 ascension point and a minor bonus effect. Yeah, so as they become more powerful, it becomes sort of more interesting. We're just going to click on OK. So we're now generating the random map that we're going to be starting with. And seriously, getting started is the hardest thing in this game. Like that screen that we just went through is the most difficult aspect. I'm sorry, I'm missing a lot of the comments here. I can see there's a chat going on. I'm just seeing if there's any questions for me as such. I've got a couple of named characters. And on YouTube, again, just do it at DasTactic if you're really wanting me to see what you're saying. So Garbarism saying, mind explaining a bit about Dominion? I can't understand the difference of having 5 or 1 Dominion in my territories, or why it's bad when there's enemy Dominion around me. Okay, so I'll show you that when we get into the game here. So when we click on OK, actually we did start off. We've got 2 different factions. In fact, this is quite interesting. The area that we've started off with is we can see this little patch of the world where we are. Asphodel is in through here. And you can see that there's like this yellowish border in around our faction, plus also Plothene. And Plothene is also a temple. It's got one of the thrones of ascension already right there. We don't know what it is. Our dominion is spread across here. Now, Kat had mentioned before about changing the overall look. And again, if I press the shift question mark, I can see different things we can do on this screen. There's a lot. The keyboard shortcuts are like there's so many. So get used to looking at the question mark. But I'm going to change what we see. So I'm going to go across to go and have a look at the actual information that is then displayed. So if we go into where is it? I always forget where these actually are. So we've got. I'll talk about what these actually are, but I'll just get it set up so we can sort of read what's going on the actual screen itself to a degree. Some of them can be too much. Where is it actually? Global. It's not those. Thrones of Ascension. I'll talk about each of these different things. Don't want to end the turn. Where is it actually? It's funny. I thought it was actually up in here. It's been a little while since I've actually played the game. But you can see there with Asphodel, you can sort of see that what we've got is we've got our starting Dominion back in through there, and we start off with only 1 Dominion strength, but that will increase. And same if we go and click over through here, right click on it, this has got 1 Dominion. We're not seeing the scales there because we can't actually see into those ones just yet. But there is a way for me to change what is displayed. I'll just have a quick look and see if I can spot it in through here. Oh, hang on, no, that's only going to be sort of tell me about what the history is. Sorry about this, guys. Map view, it'll be one of these. Oh, here we go, map filters. Yeah, it should be. It should actually show in there. We've got Control F. Yeah, okay, Control F. Right. This actually then will allow me to sort of see what's where. So I can change what we see on the map. So we can see Dominion. I can show Dominion candles. If I turn everything on, income box and impassable borders, if I just go and put everything on and just go and exit, it becomes a bit too much, like to sort of see what's actually going on with what we know about it. So we can see that there's 1 income would come in from here, 1 production essentially, and then we have the recruitment is going to be low recruitment. We don't need to see all this stuff. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off most of what we see in through here, I think, because I think it's going to become a little bit too much for us to be playing the game with all of that on. So I'll just go Control F. I'll turn off the income box, I think. And that way we just see dominions. I mean, it is handy sort of seeing the other. Don't know. It's sort of I tend to play it with just Dominion candles on, so I can see the candles, and so that's the strength of the preaching of our God. So from Asphodel we're spreading the word. If we attack into a location that we have Dominion in, we actually end up with a bonus of morale for our troops, and we end up with other bonuses as well, potentially. Particularly if you've got like a pretender god that's actually on the map, they will like to fight in strong Dominion. The stronger the Dominion, the stronger they will tend to be, and some of your other troops will also then respond very, very well to Dominion. So Dominion is quite important. And there's you can also be, if you lose all Dominion in the game, you lose the game essentially. Like if priests come in and sort of start to preach and raise the Dominion around you to the point where you then lose all of your candles and other Dominion is sort of around you, then you've lost. So it's not critical that you, like, as long as you've got some Dominion on the map, you can stay alive, but it's certainly helpful to actually have strong Dominion. And for us, like when we have a look at this particular location, this one here is going to be a plains area, I'm thinking. If we have a bit of a look to see, yeah, this is plains and river, is what we actually end up sort of having through this other side. So Plothene should, like when we take this, and it will be a win, that one should then become a forest province at some point in the future. It's just sort of random every time we sort of then go and claim that one. Sleepy Mountains back over here are highlands and river, so that will never become a forest. Rid back in through here is plains, so that could become a forest. Carnag could become a forest. There are mountains on, there might be that edge there where there's some mountains coming back up. The Stonegrave Mountains in through here, plains and mountains and river. And so again, it's sort of telling you what's around there. And then we've got the old forest in through this other side. This is forest and river. Boar Woods back in through this other side again. It's just going to be forest and river, and then Druid Land as well, forest and river down through that other side. Now, having a look at what we end up having through here, we do actually have the rivers. This river runs through here all the way through. Rivers in the game, and it goes all the way down to looks like another location there. So we've got like a river that sort of almost splits everything off. There are bridges. Like if we go from there, if we go to Sleepy Mountains, we can then go across to Stonegrave Mountains and then across the Old Forest. But we can't just move straight from Plothe across the Old Forest unless we have troops that can go through the river. Here, there's no mountain passes that have actually been that are blocked off, so I don't think we're going to have any problems with the mountain passes. When the weather changes, at the moment it's early spring, and so we can actually sort of we can move around. But in the winter, that may get closed off, moving into the mountains. but we do actually have access. So when I right click, I can move there, 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 and there. It's important to get what's called your cap circle, which is essentially all of the areas around your capital. You need to be actually not just having dominion into it, but you need to be controlling it. These grey flags need to be your coloured flags. And so we'll need to go and do that. We'll need to go and grab these over time. So at the moment, the only location really that I've got dominion in is the location. It's going to be way, way too difficult for me to then go and control. So I'm not going to worry about that one so much, but I am thinking, how am I going to move around and claim the cap circle quickly? And it's a bit unfortunate because this river stops us from getting, well, actually I can still move across, but the throne stops us from very quickly getting all of these. I can get that one, but then getting this one, I'm going to require a large army. So I really can't claim that one too quickly. If I go down into the Boar Woods, we then get the benefit of actually having the forest, which would be good. We can then get Druid land, which then takes me even further along. But I've got no way across the river until winter, when hopefully this will then freeze. So if that freezes, then I can cross. So where I am now, spring, I've still got summer, so I'm thinking I'm going to have to go in this direction. So we've got plains and a river through there. Then we've got this is farmland and river. This one will never be forest, but this is actually where there's going to be like a large population. So it's not really going to do me all that well. And again, I've got a block there going across that river into Momifi, back and through this other side, and other plains. But ultimately, I should be looking at most of these areas, not the highlands as such, but most of these areas I should ultimately end up being able to convert all of these into forests. So I'm thinking we could end up with a massive forest, an asphodel forest in through here, because we've got that full growth. Hope that all makes sense. All right, so now let's go and plan what we're going to then go and do. So if we go back to asphodel, and if we have a look at the actual at the different forces, let's just go through how these work. The army setup is what we actually have. So we've got we start off with a couple of different forces in through here. We've got a Minotaur called Payon, who is if I just right click on him, he's got good leadership. It's about as good a leadership as we're going to get. He's got no stealth. So I'm thinking of I'm trying to figure out who I should make into the prophet and who should then sort of be others. We've got also Tethys down through this other side. This is actually a carrion centaur. And so this is sort of like a construct, essentially. Leadership is good, very, very good undead leadership in through this other side. Don't have any real magical abilities. This one is actually a poor amphibian, so if I do end up with carrion forces, they'll be able to move across the river. So that's actually something we could look at doing. This one here is a reanimated priest. So this commander can reanimate the dead using his holy powers. This type of reanimation, the type of reanimation possible depends on this priest level and what nation he's priest for. So he can reanimate. We're not seeing any little creatures, so he's not going to automatically sort of do things, but we may be able to use him, like give him a command. So if we go to Tethys back and through here and go to defend, you can see there we can actually reanimate mannequins. So creates mannequins from dead beasts and men. I'm thinking of making him the prophet. Let's have another quick look at him. Leadership is reasonable. He doesn't have any stealth. So he's a priest level 1. Actually, it's going to be a bit of a waste making him the prophet because he's already a priest. He is sacred though. He's got 24 hit points. Whoever becomes a prophet essentially will become sacred as well. So, so even if they're not natively, does not eat. Yeah, there's no stealth here at all. Let's have a look at the other one. See, I'll just right click on Paleon. Hit points 29. So we're getting about 3 hit points per turn if we make this one. I think I'll make this one into because the other one's already sacred. I can sort of make this one sacred by making it the prophet. So I'll rename both of these now across. We've got a couple that have actually that have been redeemed. So I'll just go back and have a quick look at my redemptions. Hang on, why is that not wanting to work? There we are. Let's go back to Twitch. So Sev82 will be the prophet, and Supreme Plague will then be. It says Panic Apostate, please. It's going to be a while before we can get one of those. So I'll give you the other carrion. So so that'll be Supreme Plague. So I'll just go back into these. I'm just going to go in. If I go and click on these, I can see, if I open them up and then press R, is it? Yeah, rename. And so this will be Supreme Plague. All right, the Carrion Centaur. And so, and then we'll go back and right click on this one here, and this will be Sev 82. So R. Sev 82, the Minotaur Lord, who will become our prophet. So what I'm going to do here is going to change what Sev is doing, so become the prophet. And I'm going to just get Supreme Plague to start to reanimate mannequins straight away. So create mannequins from dead beasts and men. Depending on sort of how many we actually have in a location, we'll just see how we go. So it's going to be approximately 3. Let's just go and start to reanimate in this instance. So that will be essentially what they do this turn. We do actually have 600 in our treasury. We have an income of 454 coming in every turn, and 36 is then being used to keep the armies sort of in line. We've got 1 death gem and 7 nature gems at this point in time. We're getting plus 7 nature gems coming back in. Back in through here, we do actually have in Asphodel. We then actually have a temple and a laboratory. Oh, well, she's sort of natively got that one anyway. So we'll just go back in now, again, with army setups. So at the moment, we've just got these Satyr Sneaks, which are sort of stealthy, not very strong. We'll talk about these when we sort of get in there. These ones have just got bronze spears and furs, so very, very poorly armed. And then these ones here have got bronze spear. They do actually have a javelin at range 11, so that's actually the range that they actually have. These aren't terrible, but they are undisciplined. Undisciplined can only have the skirmish formation type and cannot be given any specific battle orders. Undisciplined units also receive a penalty to siege defense and patrol strength values. So they're not fantastic. Are the other ones also undisciplined? No, yes they are. So they're undisciplined as well. So so we'll end up essentially, these ones cause unrest as well, which is what we don't really want these, to be honest, in our territory. So we're going to be wanting to move them out. These ones don't cause unrest, but the other ones do. So they're with Sev at this point in time, and there's lower morale in these units. Why is there low morale? That one should be okay. Oh, because they're undisciplined is what that is. So we end up with sort of like lowish morale there. So Sicorius is saying rename a custom reward. Let's spread the word of Daz. So I'll come back to this one, but we're going to have to start to build up other forces. Now, I'm going to be wanting to get blessable forces, like sacred troops. Also, Dominion, the higher level of Dominion that we actually have, that's how many sacred troops we can also recruit. So if we're going to be using a lot of blessed troops, then we need to have strong Dominion. I forgot to mention that before when we were talking about that. Go back to the recruitment menu. So going back in, the 2 that we actually have is this one here is going to cost me 70 with 6 resources, and this one here is going to cost me 55 with 12. I think I'm going to mainly sort of structure things around the black Minotaurs. So, and these also cost me 20 recruitment points. What you'll see, we've got 5 holy points down through here. I also want to get, with the 600 that we have, I'll be wanting to get some magic users or some scouts. Now you can see down that the Black Harpies, which are our main scout unit, I'll probably get a couple of these. Black Harpy is 35 gold, 1 resource, 1 commander points, and I do actually have 2 commander points. So I can grab 2 Harpies. If I go back to these are 4 commander points, so 2 turns for that one. 2 commander points for a Dryad Hag. The Black Dryad in through here is 2 commander points. These are 2, 1 commander point for another Minotaur Lord. Not going to be blessable though, so that's actually, so we don't really get the bless effects with that one. And then we've just got the Satyr Commander there, which is just a basic, really a basic commander, like really basic. So I probably won't worry about him either. I'll definitely grab at least 1 scout so we can start to sort of scout around the place. I want to see what's going on. I may even just get 2. So what I'll do, Secrotius, is to wait until I've got something that's not just a scout. I probably will eventually name the scouts, but yeah, actually maybe we name them. Maybe we name them. So you'll probably have to have one of these, unless you just let me know in the chat if you prefer to wait. Yeah, so Agent is then saying, nice, Dominions is one of my desert island games. It is for me as well, playing the series since Dominions 3. Yeah, it is a really, really cool game. Very, very cool game. So we're down to 530 gold, and what I want to do is I do want to bring in blessable troops. So I think I'm just going to go and start to add these. As we bring these in, the holy points will go down. And if we bring commanders in that are blessable or that are sacred as well, they'll also take the holy points. And so we have, so it's a mixture now of gold, resources, and recruitment points. So I want to get all 5 of those. So we've still got gold, we've still got resources, we've still got recruitment points back into there. I can't bring any more of these in. They'll be ready for the next turn. Whoops, hang on. I'll just go back out and get rid of that one. So the holy points have now been spent with having these Black Minotaurs. Actually, I will need to bring another commander in, ultimately, if we're going to start... actually, no, I've got the other commander. That's okay. We'll sort of figure out which way we go with these. Then we've got I've then got Centaur Warriors, Centaur-eyed Warriors back into there. That's 30 gold, 35 gold. Then we've got these are Centaur Archers, longbows, very, very long range. I think I might go with and pick up those a lot. So let's go and throw these into the mix until we sort of get our gold down to low levels. Still got recruitment points, gold at 5. I'll just go and grab one more. Now, the Centaurides are only short bow, but we'll go the longbow. Have a quick look, and maybe we'll have a look at and see what everything is on this particular screen. I'm just right-clicking on this. So this is important to sort of see what's going to happen. This has got a range of 45, so long range, maximum range in squares. The attack value is 12. It's piercing damage, so it's not going to be good against undead. And then it has 15 damage value, so it does a fair bit of damage. It's also armed with a dagger, and you can sort of see there it's got the bow in through there, but it'll have a dagger as well, which does an attack value is 11, and then again piercing and 15 damage value. For the hooves that it's got, so once again, if it gets into, this is length 0, so these have to be very, very close. This one has got an attack of 10. This is blunt damage, so on head hits, damage is increased by 25% before armor is deducted, and then it's got the damage value of 13 through there. So if I have a look at the actual weapon stats, it's sort of telling me then what the bonuses are for what that one does, but natively it does 10 attack in through there with 13 damage. As we have a look at everything back into this other side, the thing we're most likely we'd be wanting to have with a longbow creature is precision. So precision of 12. This is a bit convoluted the way it sort of does work, but usually in most of these sort of scores, 10 is the average, and so basic precision of 12. It's got a patrolling strength there of 1.6, so it's good at patrolling. So precision represents the targeting skill of the unit. Precision is only used when firing missile weapons or casting spells. The higher the value, the more likely that the projectile or spell will hit the intended target. A normal human soldier has a precision value of 10. Units rarely have precision values above 15. But the important thing is, actually, that's the patrol strength down through there. Every point, so it's not saying it here, but every point above 10 is sort of like almost double. So it's so we end up with like 12 is very, very good for high precision. So these centaurs are very, very good with their actual with their archery. Other things we've got the gold cost, the resources cost, we've seen that one, and the recruitment points. So this is all of the different sorts of things we then sort of need to take into account. Hit points at just 20. There's nothing affecting that one at all. So strength. These have got stealth. They've got forest survival and recuperation. That means that they're going to sort of heal a little bit over time if they have afflictions. So the hit points is like 10 hit points is going to be about what a human has got. A giant is about 30, and a dragon about 100. So depending on how big they actually are. The strength is actually 10 again is the baseline through here, which does sort of then add to the damage that they can then go and do essentially. Map moving is sort of how fast they can move. So these can move a lot. You can see their common movement costs. So across plains it's going to be 6, forest and waste 10, caves 12, swamp 14, mountains 16. So the higher the movement cost, the higher the movement map move, the more provinces it can go through in one go. So if we string together all of the various planes, we're going to be able to then move multiple once we control those areas. Size 5. Size is important, actually. This is really important. This has changed between DOM 5 and DOM 6. So size, a bug is size 1, small dog is size 2, human is size 3, horse size 5, which is the size that we are, giants of 6 or more. So only the largest titans and monsters are size 9 or 10. Knowing the size can have a big bearing on how you play the game. So and you can sort of guess what they're going to be. Like the satyrs are going to be size 3. And you can have up to 10 size points. I think it says that each square in the combat is enough for 10 size points. About 3 humans. So mounted units mounted units use the size value of their mounts when determining how much space they occupy. So for us, we can actually have 2 of these units in a square. For the satyrs that we've got, there should be 3 of them in a square. And that can actually have a big bearing on how you even think about the game, like in terms of because the more units you have in a square, the more attacks they can do in melee. So if we go back and have a look at at these minotaurs, for example, these are size 4, which means we can still only get 2 of them in a square. So it's going to be 2 of these per square fighting with their bronze battle axes. So I won't go through these in too much. The other things to keep into account, again, size is very important. The attack skill is essentially the ability to hit in melee combat, and so the more skillful somebody is, the better trained that they are, they will actually then be able to do more damage. So a normal soldier has an attack skill of 10. Elite soldier with much battle experience might have an attack skill of 15. We've got 11, so we're just slightly better than the average sort of human. Encumbrance is sort of like how fatigue and things will then go and work. So we have a basic one of 3. Armors and shields that we're sort of carrying around is +1. So we've got, essentially we've got the 5 in through there was it 4 or 5? 4 is sort of what we end up having. That sort of does give us a bit of fatigue. Protection, in our case, we've just got natural protection, and then we do actually have on our body, we do actually have furs. So we're wearing furs, which are giving us protection of 7 on our body. But overall, our protection here is 9. So it's so on our body we have 5 plus 7. But when we average it out, because we don't have any extra protection on our head, the armor value there is just 5. So that's what we end up having. So that's a fairly good number. So you can sort of see through here, light infantry units have protection values ranging from 3 to 10, while knights might have protection of 20 or more. So we're not fully protected, but we're okay. We're essentially okay. Defense is your dodge skill. So this essentially is to be able to avoid being hit. So the defense skill indicates a unit's ability to avoid getting hit in melee combat. Attacks will generally miss a target unless the attack skill is greater than the attack's defense skill. Defense doesn't protect the unit from missile weapons or spells. A normal soldier without a shield or heavy armor has a defense value of 10, while a heavily armed soldier might have a defense value of 5. So the more defense they have, the less they can maneuver. And an experienced mounted soldier, a value of 15. So just gives you a feel. We're sort of lower. We're not as maneuverable as like a human would be, but we're still actually up there. It's not too bad. You can see there with our attack skill of 11, it would be easier for us to hit ourselves than to defend against ourselves. Magic resistance, sort of self-explanatory, I guess. Precision doesn't matter for us. Age does impact some things, mainly commanders. Morale is very, very high, so we're not going to be running in morale with these minotaurs. Combat speed is 14, which is a little bit. This is sort of like how fast we move in squares, like when we're in battle. And so it's an auto battler, but these things all sort of play a role. So we've got trample, berserk, forest survival. By the way, berserk units capable of going berserk if wounded. Berserking units get increased attack, strength, and protection. Reduced defense though. And will never break in battle. So mindless and mounted units will never go berserk. Mounted units cannot go berserk as long as they remain mounted. So these guys will become berserk, and they'll become even more powerful with their attack skills and the damage that they cause. These guys do 30 damage. This is going to be slash damage, and you can see there through their damage is increased by 25% after armor protection has been deducted. Splash damage is more likely to chop off body parts. So the modelling in the game is unbelievably deep. We'll just go with that one through there. We'll just go and exit. we've sort of done what we needed to in there. One thing we can have a bit of a look at is we'll eventually start to see sort of like different sorts of scales creeping out through here as well. As the as what we don't know what this throne actually is just yet. We'll find out fairly soon. But if we go across, other things we've gotten through here is the bid for mercenaries. I'm not going to worry about them. We've got wet ones. Actually, no, it's too expensive, so we won't worry about that one. The Chronicles, it's just going to save, so that's just essentially just the Chronicles back and through there. The read messages, there won't be any messages, only the basic ones, don't really matter. Send messages to other players, nation overview. This one then this is quite a handy one. This is F1. You can then just sort of see what's going on and what they're actually doing. So I'm just going to leave that one where that is. We'll come back and look at F1 a lot. So that's the nation view. Score graphs, this is going to then sort of show us over time. Actually, we can see who we're up against. We've got Asphodel, we've got Ermor, so we've got another death faction in through there. We will be wanting to kill them off. Pythium, we've got Marignon, so the sort of French knights. Shiniyama, the Japanese, and then we've got Vanheim, the elves. So we've got like a whole range of different things in through there. So we'll come back into those in just a minute. Hall of Fame, no one will be in there just yet. This is important that we sort of try to get units into there. Pretenders of the World, we can then sort of see the different groups in through there. We can find out information, but let's not waste time with that just yet. Research, I want to set this one up into what we do. These are the different schools of magic. We're starting off at level 1 through all of these, but the research queue is empty. If I right click on these, I can then sort of see what these are going to do. These are going to summon in different units. Now, I don't know if I really want to be, summons are not going to be all that important to me, so I'm just going to press escape. And one thing I can do actually, if I do right click on these, alteration allows us to then cast, resistance types, personal bark skin, things like this. I'm really only interested in nature and death, so I can press the N key and just get the nature type spells. These are probably going to be actually Carrion Fortress there. That's going to, that's 45 gems in through that side. So this is a ritual, 2 death, 3 nature, 45 nature gems required. This ritual forms a fortress of brambles, roots and bones in a matter of weeks. Sturdy enough to rival stone walls, defenders can stand on the walls and fire missiles from the parapets. This ritual can only be cast in forests or shallow seas where nature has plenty of material to build from. So that's something we could actually look at getting around the place. So that's actually an alteration. If I just go and press escape, evocation, vine arrows, webs. If I go to death magic, I can then sort of see the shadow bolts at level 3. It's not going to be fantastic with what we end up having through there, so just see the difference between what they then go and do. Construction, this one is ultimately getting the magic trinkets and then magic items, etc. can be useful. So construction can be good. Enchantment. Now at level 0 we can get the Carrion Centaurs, Carrion Ladies, Carrion Lords. We can already get those, which is again not bad. Yeah, again 2 and 3 there. Yeah, we might have a look at that one. That's actually not too bad. We have Dark Slumber there. When they're coloured like this, it means it's sort of unique for our faction. So you can sort of get a bit of a feel for this one might sort of... Actually, this one is pretty damn good. I like Enchantment, actually. Thaumaturgy is going to be a sort of a little bit more sort of highbrow. Then Blood Magic down through here becomes a bit too difficult for us at this stage. Sleep Vines, Vengeful Vines... Yeah, that's actually not bad as well, to be honest. Conjuration, Alteration. We've already got that one. Evocation. Yeah, nothing much coming in that one there. So I think what we'll do is we'll just go and start to queue these up. So let's go to Enchantment. What do we want to get to? We've got Personal Regeneration. Healing 3. Let's get to level 3. So that will be Enchantment. It was Enchantment, wasn't it? Yeah. Actually, Enchantment, Dark Slumber. No, I'll just go back up to there. So we'll just go to Enchantment level 3. So we've got that one through there. Then we'll go back to Conjuration. I'll get to level 3 there. Alteration will go to level 3. Construction, get to level 4 there. I'm just going to queue up the research queue. So that will then sort of have those sort of kicking back in. Then we've got global enchantments. There won't be any just yet. You can only have 5, I think. Magic item treasury, we don't have anything. Magic item overview, we don't have anything. So thrones of ascension. These are the different thrones that we actually end up having. So we've got, so what we're looking through here is things like thrones of pestilence. So increases death by a maximum of 2. So we don't want this. Like we hope that this isn't the one that's near us, because that's going to ultimately end up pushing death out around us. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's that's a bad one near us. The Throne of Thorns would be good, but that one, I'm pretty sure that won't be there. We get 2 more nature gems in through there. The Black Throne spreads deadly diseases. That's going to be, again, a problem for us if that's near us. So, yeah, so that with those, looking more at the Pestilence and the Black Throne are ones we probably don't want to have near us. The other ones I think are all actually all okay. So we'll just go and exit. So we'll just see what we end up getting. At this point, we're sort of now ready to end our turn. We've got nothing left in the treasury. We'll just go and end the turn here. So Asphodel, Ermor, and Shiniyama have now all proclaimed, that we've actually now got Sev is now going to be the prophet of our particular group. And we now get to see what's in around us. Now we're seeing through here, this will give you clues. These are Lion Tribe Warriors and Lion Tribe Archers. These are sort of more like an African sort of style defender. We will be wanting to see what they've actually got in there as well. So we'll sort of we'll test and see what this actually is to a degree. There's 120 of them, which is a lot. So there's a hell of a lot of them in there. Over through here we've got this is 50 enemy units, mainly militias, heavy infantries, and light infantries. Similarly in through there, mainly light infantries, militias, and archers. And then back in through here we have many barbarians, back in through the Boar Woods. We could take out the barbarians and then move across this other side and then come back to this one eventually. So I'll get Socaritas as one of these. So we'll just go and rename this one. So these are going to be scouting around, so it may not last all that long, but we'll see how we go. So it will be the role of these scouts will be to explore the world. So we'll just go and rename. And Secreoritas, there we are. So we've got the Secreoritas, the Black Harpy. And so the Black Harpy, what I want to do initially, I'm going to send Secreoritas in to attack this particular location. I'm not going to, if I just click on it, that sort of that white to grey is showing sneaking. If I control click on it, I'm now attacking. So it's now moving directly in to do the actual attack. So we'll actually go in, now if I press from here, if I go and press Y, I can then see what's coming in. So Secreoritas is going to then move in and attack. So this could be extremely dangerous. We may have a first problem, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and tell Secreoritas to go to the back corner. Whoops, hang on. Should be able to move that one around. There we are. So I'm going to go to one of the corners, back corner and through there. Battle Orders is going to hold one turn and then run away. So I'm just going to stay in I just want to see what is done. So I'm just going to hold and then we're going to retreat. So that will be so hold one turn, then retreat is the scripting we're going to do with this particular troop. So hopefully there won't be anything that dramatically changes the ability for us to do that one. And then Secreoritas will then have to try to then escape back to one of our lands, which should be the homeland in through here. We've got another one as well. We've got Echidna back into the other side, can now start to move out. I don't think I can actually move this one. I can actually, yeah, I can move this one a fair distance. These have got a map move of 34, so I can go a long, long way. I think I'll move up into the middle of the map. So if we just go back up into here somewhere, we're starting to now sort of see more. You can see that we've actually now got more dominion now spreading out. We've got 2 candles back down here, 1 candle in there and there. I'll go, and even into the Stone Grave Mountains. Let's go now and sneak up. Can't go that far. Actually, I can go that far. Let's move up that way with Echidna and just sneak and just see what we can sort of spot. We need to sort of find out who's around us and you know what we're likely to be able to then go and capture. With the troops we have, so about 50, about 60, and about 40. I think I'll take the forest first and then sort of come back. So with the group that we actually end up having, so Supreme Plague has been reanimating. Sev has been is basically now defending, but you can see there now has got 3 priest level in through here with Sev's abilities. So if we go and right click on this one, he is now priest level 3, is now blessed. So is it's now going to have the regeneration as well. So the hit points are 34 and is a prophet. Does have the trample abilities. So, but we're going to probably leave this one back in behind the actual map. So yeah. So actually, yeah. Talking about the thrones, we're talking about this one here with the. We'll see what it actually. We'll get a bit of a feel for it. We can actually ultimately then just keep one of a scout sitting there to see what goes on. But by attacking, we're going to see a lot more information. As long as I've got a place I can retreat back into, and I need to actually have my flag at that location. So it needs to go back to one. It can't move into there, for example. It has to go back to a safe location. So it's a little bit dangerous, but that's just the way it sort of works. So when we have a look at the first age, increases magic would be nice, but that's not going to be that one. Creation, get turmoil. Yeah, okay. That's I'm not sure. It could be any of these really. Second age, blessed troop gets strength +1. Throne of Misfortune. Yeah, it could be anything. It won't be Pestilence, which is good. This one here, the lower throne. This one we get Blood Slaves. That would be a bit of a useless one if we ended up with that one through there. Yeah, so it wouldn't be great. The Throne of Thorns would be good, but I don't think it'll be the Throne of Thorns that'll be there. Maybe it could be. Because it's a bit sort of jungly, I guess. It won't be that one. I don't believe. Throne of Summer could be this one. Could be that one. That gets heat +1. All right, we'll soon find out. So back into Asphodel. We'll just go back into the recruitment, and so we've got 300 gold again. I'm just going to keep on getting more of these forces. And I can only get 4 of them this time because we've run out of money. But we actually I do need to spend more money up here. This is going to be 420 gold, 370. I can't afford that one. I can afford this one here and start to sort of then at least get the magic. None of the others can actually do. Oh, this one can do a little bit of research at 170, but this is my better researcher, so I'll get the Black Dryad. I won't name the ones that stay back. Like this Black Dryad really won't be moving around much. It may be. Actually, this one could actually be moved in. Yeah, so we could actually name this one as well. I'll just grab that one through there. That's now the commander points have gone. It's a holy point because it is actually a sacred. So that's a sacred unit. Yeah, I'll eventually get some of these as well. This one here does actually have... This one's also... These are super useful because they're both priests and mages. So we'll ultimately start to get them as well. But that's now my command points. Let's go and pick up... I can only get one of those with that one there. And the centaurs, 25 gold. Really can't do much there. I'll just... Yeah, I won't pick up those. That'll be okay. Just grab those there. And so with the forces we have, I'm just going to go and press T and start to build these up. So Supreme Plague has picked up this carrion. You can see it picked up fairly well with the carrion forces. Let's just go and throw these into the into Supreme Plague's group. So if we have a bit of a look, 50 magic leadership of 50 and undead leadership of 150. So that's actually fine. I'll bring Supreme Plague out with his forces as well. Actually, how many can Supreme Plague handle? Up to 2 squads, which is sort of ideal. I'm going to put these in with Supreme Plague, and then start to have the more high level. Actually, that's -2. We've got 3 now. Sev doesn't have any undead leadership, so can't actually take those. We've got the Satyrs in through this other side. Yeah, it's not ideal what we've got here, because I'm going to be wanting to put these in with Sev. I had wanted to put those in as well. If I throw another one of these back in, these undisciplined guys, I then sort of lose the morale from here. So they then have less morale. Which we do. And then I've got these are the bronze spearmen. So they're sort of like, that's our main attack area. I can put them in with these, but it's not great. For what we have to do initially, yeah, I'm going to grab all of these. If I just press A, I'll just put them back up there, and just double click the centaurs. Actually, I won't double do that. Is it enter? Yeah, enter deselects. I'll throw them back down there. These, because they're undisciplined, they're sort of going to be doing that. I will eventually just get like a basic commander to take these, but I'll give them to Supreme Plague. I'll have these with Sev, and then I'll have these guys as well. So we've got they've got the different groups in through this other side. So let's actually now go in and send the army in. So we'll go and move both Supreme Plague and Sev together, and we'll take the Boar Woods with the attack. So they're moving in. The width of the this gives a bit of an idea as to the strength of what you've got going in, just as a vague sort of area. If I now right-click into the Boar Woods, the easiest way to sort of control the scripting and work out the what's going to happen with your forces is to just go in and select the target and then press the Y key, which we then get to sort of see the various forces now moving in. We need to position them on the battle map. So Sev is going to be, and we need to give them orders. So Sev is going to be casting spells. So they'll probably both be casting spells. So cast a specific spell, and we can go through and we can see the different spells that we have. We've got enchantments, which can be sort of done with, we've got Quick Roots, Regrowth, Mend the Dead, Puppet Mastery, or Carrion Growth. We don't have the high level ones. But these ones down through here, we've got Blessing, Final Rest, Sermon of Courage. That can be useful in fights just to sort of keep the morale up. Smite Demon, Holy Word. And if we're sort of unsure about these, we can just right click. Holy Word, able to stun a Sacred Warrior or a False Pretender. I won't worry about that one. Holy Avenger. Yep, so that's actually if we get attacked. Yeah, it's not going to worry us at all, I don't think, in this instance. Divine Blessing. This one is going to then bless all of... This is the most important one that we actually have at the start. So we need to do the Divine Blessing to bless all the sacred troops. So we have to actually go and bless them. So we'll just go and press OK with that one. And then we'll just go and cast specific spells. And we'll go with Word of Thorns. And this is going to be an attack spell. So we'll just go and use the attack spells in through here. Word of Thorns. Word of Thorn. I'll go Sermon of Courage, and then I'll just let it do its own thing, then just cast spells. All right, so that will be its scripting. I can save scripting if I want it to do different things, but in this case, that's going to be fairly basic and fairly unique. So again, it's only got the profit ones in through here. Quick Roots, what does that one do? Combat spell. Holy Prayer that quickens the vines, reanimating mannequins. Yeah, we're going in with them, are we? No, we're not going in with them. I'll just do, what's Final Rest? Destroy Undead. We're not going to see them as well, so we'll just go with Blessings. And I'll just stay behind troops at this stage, I think, and just I'll try to not have them go into the actual fight. So we'll just sort of leave that one where that is. I probably could have left that one behind, but I want to take it. I want to take the forces in. All right, so now let's go and start to deck these things out. Now with the actual forces we have here, we've got the Satyrs back in through there, which are the group these are undisciplined. I can't give them any sort of formation. If I go to the Satyr Sneaks, I'll place them in behind them. I'll just keep them central. Then we've got, hang on, just go that way. Then we've got the Centaurs. Now these are going to be fighting at range, so I'll just move them back a little bit, and we'll give them other orders as well. So I can look with these guys in here. I can't give them real battle orders. They're just going to do their own thing anyway. So I'm just going to leave them where they are. But the centaurs I can actually give battle orders. And so I'm going to go and fire and keep distance. That will be what we end up doing. And we'll just do that at the closest enemy, whatever that happens to be. So we'll just keep them sort of firing away. And then we also then have the minotaurs that we actually had in through this other side as well. And I'm going to try to get them to charge in around the edge of the actual battlefield. So we'll just go back this way. And they will be to attack the rearmost enemies. And so they're going to try to use their discipline to actually move around the flank if they can do it. So we'll give that one a bit of a go and sort of see how they go. The Satyrs should be able to protect the centaurs. We've got the two commanders at the back. I'll just move Supreme Plague out a little bit, and then we'll just keep Sev back in through there with his spell casting. There shouldn't be anything that can get in behind us. That will do us. So that's now going to be fine. Everything else is done. We don't have anything else really in the treasury, so let's now just end our turn here. Now it's an auto battler system, so we've got a couple of things. There's a battle in Plothei. We might have a look at that one. Vanheim has now proclaimed that they've actually now got a prophet. Let's have a look at Plothei. This will be interesting. We'll just go and view the battle, and we'll just go and pause sort of straight away. And so we'll just go and click on pause. So spacebar will pause. You can play it in sort of slow-mo, but we want to analyse what the actual battle is going to be. Now, there's a few little things that you'll be wanting to do when you are playing the game. Just use the question marks through here. You've got things like, for example, there's a few things in through here. The slow motion can be really quite handy, either X or Z. Then you've got the miscellaneous, show the grid, it can be really quite valuable. The team coloured squares, people tend to like to see that when we're in battle. So G, C, show the battle round counter. I like to have this one on so I can see what round we're actually in. Remember that the first round we're going to hold and just watch, and then the second round we're going to start to retreat. 1 to 4, battle log detail level. I like to have it either 2 or 3, so I'll turn that one on. We can then sort of scroll through those as we go through. So that will be, so we've got a few little things. G, to put the grid on. That will then sort of allow us to see what's going on. C will then change the colour of the of underneath each of the actual factions themselves. I'm just going to put the battle log on up the top through here at level 2, I think, at this stage. That will then at least just give us a bit of an idea as to what to expect when we do the attack. I use the arrow keys to start to move around. So this is the 3D battlefield, and there is so this here is Socroriutus, the black harpy, who will stay there for one turn and then run away. So what are we up against? What are we up against? This is the force we actually have. And what we're really looking for is to see who the commanders are initially. That's what we're going to be. We're not going to see the actual throne itself. But in this case, we've just got like a whole lot of archers. I can right-click on these to sort of see what they are. These are just Lion Tribe archers. And also, over time, these are actually undisciplined as well. Forest survival. They've got a short bow at range 35, protection of 0, so they've got no protection. Then we've got some this will be a witch doctor through here, which is a nature mage, an inept researcher. Yeah, very very low research, no gems or anything, so this is fairly low level. That one there is a just a warrior. We're going to see a few different warriors back in through here as well. Lion Tribe warriors, protection 0. So fairly weak with what we end up sort of having through here. Really looking for more commanders. There should be more commanders than what we're seeing through this other side. There's got to be more than just the one, I would think. It's not saying that these are commanders, although they are named. Yeah, actually, they're commanders. Is that a commander? No, that's just a warrior. So there's no real magic ability here. It's just interesting. So this one is actually, yeah, this one does have basic leadership. All right, well, we will be able to smash this one fairly readily. So it's just now a matter of just seeing what actually happens here. I'm going to play it on slow-mo. So I'm just going to play it on Z mode. They'll then move forward. And here we go. So Bianga is casting envenom arrows. So they're envenomating these arrows. They're now moving forward, and it's now cast that spell, and we should now be leaving. Come on. You can leave now. Now it's gonna fly off. It's casting bark skin. There's really not a lot for us to concern ourselves with here, and now we've routed. So they then fly off and escape. So and they're going to animate some of the trees around the place as well. But this is that was cool. That's good, and that's the end of it. So we're now essentially at the end of that battle. So in this particular battle, retreat details, successfully retreated back to Asphodel. So that was not a problem. But we now know exactly what we have to fight when we go into that particular location. So that's actually gives us a good clue. So we have 2 warriors and 1 witch doctor is the only sort of leadership that they actually have. 55 archers, 62 lion tribe warriors. There was no, I didn't see any, there was no disease or anything like that going on there. So I think this is actually going to be a fairly mundane. It could be the summer, the Throne of Summer or something like this, maybe. And Ballwoods. Let's have a look at this one here. This is the one that we scripted. Now, let's talk a little bit about, I'll just go back and press slow-mo here. And we'll talk. So these are long range, remember? So they're now going long range. They're firing at the different units coming back in. Let's have a look and see if I just go and pause this. When you're fighting against barbarians are actually one of these things that are really easy and really hard to fight against. So one of the two. They're incredibly good at smashing their way through different areas. So if we go and have a look at this particular group, we've got 3 different units that are actually in through here. These are barbarians from the Boar Woods. We do actually have, excuse me, a barbarian chief in through here. So he's actually in charge of the barbarians. You can see their hit points are usually pretty high. Size only 3. Protection is going to be low. Defense is low. So they're easy to hit. Their attack, these have got mauls, so these actually are sort of doing a fair bit of damage if they do hit. This will be just blunt damage though when it does actually get hit in this instance. Their morale is usually low at 9, and so they will run quickly, but they do a lot of damage if they close the gap. And so when we have a look through these guys in truth here, these are just other barbarians with great swords, again doing lots of damage with slash damage. Again, low morale. So we need to essentially destroy as many of these as possible before we get too involved in the fighting. Now, I've sent these to go around the side. They're going to ultimately end up fighting these guys. So let's just go and unpause again. So sort of watch. I'll just do it in slow-mo. You can see we're hitting some of them. We're going to be killing some of them at different times. You know, we're starting to do damage. And this will then affect their morale. I'll try to sort of pick it when it actually happens. So we've now cast Divine Blessing. What this has now done is the Asphodel troops are now blessed. And so what that does is it gives them regeneration. So we've now got recuperation, forest survival, berserker. We should have regeneration. Oh, hang on. No, I need the... Sorry, I need to wait until my god is on the battle, like on the map. And not in the fight, but we need to wait a year before the regeneration kicks in. So we'll still keep on going with everything, of course, but so same sort of thing. But we won't be regenerating until he's on the field. Now we're going to start to. Our units are much weaker than theirs. Our morale is 8, so it's dropping. Their morale is still 9. They're going to start to now run. Here comes the big Minotaurs. Minotaurs are similar. This one is now taking a bit of damage. We just got hit there pretty hard. So we're down to just 3 of our Minotaurs left. So they're all sort of fighting. This one's been injured. So 10 hit points. It's gone berserk. They've taken damage. You can see the little dots underneath them. And they're now starting to run. And we now have them on the ropes. So we'll just go and quit out of that one through there. So that was a bit expensive for us. We did lose 2 of our black Minotaurs, and I don't really want to be losing them. So I'll probably have to sort of play that a little bit safer. We did lose 3 Satyrs and 11 sneaks with the in the actual fight itself, which is, I don't mind about losing these at all. Like, I don't care if we get rid of them completely ultimately, so they just don't matter. Centaur's got 5 kills. The Black Minotaur's got 11, which was good. Retreat details. 13 dispersed, 11 made it back to friendly territory. So what actually happened there was that the Satyrs that were attacking Satyr sneaks ended up running back. So we'll just go and exit that one. So we have our force now in the Boar Woods. You can see there the Dominion is now sort of kicking in. We've got 3 Dominion back in there at this point in time. This group, if I just go back and have a quick look and see, if I just go and press T, we are making these other creatures back in through this other side. We've got one that didn't disperse back in through here. I could actually put all them together. That's probably the way to do this. And with Supreme Plague, again, Supreme Plague is useful because he's both a priest and a mage. But we're now going to have to go back and rebuild our forces again. So we'll go and grab the army, and I will actually take those others with me. So if I just go back into here and just go and grab these creatures here and just put them in with Supreme Plague, we'll start to sort of end up with lots and lots of carrion. Go back to Asphodel. So back in here we now have Secriotis has now sort of come back in this other side. Let's have a look and see what we can see on the other portion over here. We do actually have a way underground over that way, but let's just go and fly to the Mercs back over there with now start to do the actual scouting. We don't know what that throne is at this stage, but we can build up for that. Then we have another this one here, a bit of everything in what they're doing. Let's just go and start to do research. I won't name these. And then we've got this one up through here again. We've got Promised Land. We'll just start to sort of slowly sneak our way around the various locations on the map. So we'll just move across into this farmland. And we'll now be wanting to sort of go and claim these areas. So we'll go back into recruitment. And we've got 363. It might be worth getting... Actually, we probably don't really need any of these guys. I'm thinking we just keep on going with the Black Dryads. What have these got? They've got 10 research. It's not fantastic. It's all 170. These ones can't do any research at all. Yeah, certainly have better research with this. I'll grab another researcher. 148. Just keep on getting more of these if I can. I can only get 2 of them this time. So we'll leave that there. Might even just stay back a turn with these forces. Just go. If I press N, I can then just go through any units that haven't actually been set up properly. So I'll leave that one there. That's all good. We'll end our turn here. Oh, geez, I've run out of time, guys. I actually have to get going. It's sort of one of these things where it takes so long to get started in this game. So we're now back home. I'll leave it here, and I will continue playing this probably once a week, and we'll just sort of slowly sort of make our way up, building up a strong an army. It was a bit of a shame that we lost those. I'll just go back into T and just go and pick up what we end up having. So I've got some Minotaurs. So I'm going to throw them back into that mix. I'm going to try to protect these until we actually get the god on the actual field of play. The Carrion is now all sort of back in through this other side. We'll just go and place them in with that particular group. There's 20 net units now in there, which is actually good going. And then we've just got these guys which retreated. Now, some of them will actually be wounded, so I can actually go and, again, if I just go to the actual, what we can do through here. So we're going to hold the mouse over a squad, but I can select all the units, select all the battle fright units, crippled, diseased, experienced, limping, slowest, starving, or wounded. Wounded is probably the one that we want to have a look at. So if I just go and click on W, nothing. Oh, that's pretty cool. There's none of them wounded, none of them wounded, none of them wounded. Okay, so everything is recuperated quite nicely. So that's all working fairly well. These guys will just go back into research. So get that one researching as well. So we'll start to sort of get more spells. We are certainly strong enough to take on the others, but I have actually completely run out of time. I didn't notice just how close we were. So I will leave it there. So we've taken only Ball Woods really at this stage, but we know what to do in Plothii. So we've actually sort of got like at least we've got we can see it's not going to be difficult for us ultimately once we get a strong enough army. And we'll get there fit pretty quickly. I think by the time we sort of come through Sleepy Mountains, we'll then be sort of ready to take that one out. We'll just loop around. That way we'll get the cap circle. Oh, one thing as well, before I do go through here, I do want to go and change the province defense. If I press D, I can then change the province defense. And I just want to make sure I got at least 6. So I'm just going to put 6 in there. These will then recruit barbarians to help defend the province. So we'll just go that way. We can see there's a troll there, actually. That's interesting. So we have 7 enemy units, mainly forest trolls. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. With what that's doing. Anyway, I do have to leave it here, guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. I'll be playing Dwarf Fortress tomorrow, and we'll see how we go. Thanks for watching.